everyone. Welcome to Directly to You. It's our Nintendo podcast. We do it every week. This is the 74th week, not in a row, but we've been doing it in a row for a long time.
True.
You know what I mean? We were keeping count for a while. I think that stopped at like 8 weeks or something. And
pretty much.
It was just done. But
I think since 47 is the first one that we've been consistent since.
Forget it.
And the reason that was the one it was something around there. At least that was the one where I made my my Pro Tools template or whatever, because that's the week that it's always like, do you want to call this file episode 47? And I'm like, no, shut up. I don't want to. That's wrong. But whatever. Nevertheless, go on.
Housekeeping stuff. This will help us be consistent for the rest of all time. You know what I mean? You could support us monetarily by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour and joining as a member by clicking that join button at the tip top of the screen next to the subscribe button and the like button that you should also click. Those are free though. If you want to support us monetarily at no cost to you and you want to take that money from Jeff Bezos, you can do so if you have Amazon Prime, and linking your Amazon Prime to your Twitch Prime, you get a free subscription. I'm still looking at the camera, but you guys can't see us.
True.
So yeah, that's the thing, and that stuff. Working on the Twitch stuff again. We got some schemes. We're scheming for Twitch. But TBD on that. I'm trying to do everything in my power to not have to buy another computer, because I already spent this computer already costs a lot of money, and I don't want to get another computer just to stream, because I'm not going to use it for anything else. I would literally only use it to stream.
And unfortunately, you can't just get like a cheap computer to do that, really, because it needs to be at least powerful enough to do it well.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm AJ. This is Parker. How you doing, Parker?
I'm doing great. It's been a busy week. We'll get into why later, but I'm doing great.
You playing any video games? What video games you playing? Fire Emblem?
With the time that I have to play video games this specific week, I'm playing Fire Emblem.
How far?
The context of that is I'm going to be out of town the next 2 weeks, so I won't be on the podcast the next 2 weeks. We'll have other guests instead. I'll be dead for all intents and purposes, but I am doing my videos for the next 2 weeks ahead of time. And like, I was thinking about it, and like, I think ours are, to me at least, it seems like ours are harder than some other channels, just because they're more like creative based, as opposed to like, sometimes they're reactionary 100%, but like obviously the two that I'm doing for the next 2 weeks aren't like just here's the news thing happening. Here's my
ones
thoughts.
are so much easier, which is why they can be done the day of, you know. Yeah. But the creative ones are just like, after making one of those where I had to like completely think of like what the concept is and what my thoughts are on this concept and like flesh it out and do all that stuff, I'm just like, I don't want to do anything else today. So you had to like do that 2 times.
Yeah,
technically so 3, because you had to do your video this week.
Yeah, so it's been busy on that front, but good nevertheless. But yeah, Fire Emblem, it's still great. I like it a lot. The story's definitely getting really interesting.
I know what chapter I'm on now, because I'm
definitely way behind you. I'm sure, because I was behind you last time.
Yes.
I think I'm on chapter 8.
I'm maybe like 21.
Oh man, yeah. I was curious how many chapters there are. You? I don't even want to. I'm not going to ask.
I'm on part 2.
Okay, I'm guessing part 2 is after the time skip or whatever. Okay, so that's how it's split up. All right. I'm very curious about all that stuff, how that's going to pan out.
Can't say
I'm still
it,
like,
spoilers.
Definitely don't. I'll be furious.
There's stuff in the trailer and like the thumbnail. I was like, why though? Like, why is that there? That's weird.
You mean like that it's a spoiler or whatever?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I can think of one thing that I've noticed that somebody said, like, somebody spoiled me on, and then like half spoiled it, and I thought it was really funny that they did. And they were trying to say it harmlessly, but they were like, they kind of spoiled me on this thing, and I was like, you could have not said it too, theoretically. But now, like, I realize that that's a plot point of some sort, but whatever. But no, still, the combat's great. Golden Deer, blah, 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 blah. Raphael, if you're not Golden Deer, get Raphael on your team. Yeah, I know. Did you recruit a bunch of people or kind of stuck to your main group?
I didn't even bother with that. I recruited some people by accident. But I was just
Who did you recruit by accident?
Manuela.
Okay. Nice.
She just, she just always talking to me. So I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. And then I wanted to do the lessons or whatever. And I was playing in handheld mode. So I just looked for like the different icon. I'm not like trying to read that because I don't got freaking eyes for that. And they both have like a special icon on the left where it's like recruit and also the lesson thing. So I pressed that and she was like, sure, why not? And I'm like, okay. All right.
I am curious, like I'm before the time skip, and so don't say anything, I guess, but like I'm curious how after the time skip, if I've recruited most people from the Black Eagles and like, I don't know, all the teams are supposed to be against each other after the time skip. I don't know how that's going to work. Like, will they have no students and it'll just, you know what I mean? So like, I'm definitely curious how that's going to pan out. Cause I saw some guy on Twitter, he was like, I recruited everybody. And I'm like,
oh yeah, I saw that.
How does that work? Like, so I'm curious. If there's a non-spoiler
too, because
because
something happened. And I'm like, ooh, like what if I did this different? Like what? So yeah.
Yep. Do you feel like you're pretty close to the end of this point? Or?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I thought I was already done, but then something else happened. And it's like, oh nope.
Some games do that better than others. I'll definitely say where like. There's some games where like, no, I thought we were done.
Yeah, I think this game did it well because it was like, there is like, I don't know if the plot point is going to be the same for you. But a plot point happens and that becomes the goal where it's like, oh, you got to do this thing. But the thing that is already obviously the goal before that thing happens is still very much so a thing.
We should, when we're both done with the game, leave it for the end of a podcast at some point and just like, and then just talk about our different experiences. Maybe I'll see if Mitch can come on at that point too, because he's further than me as well. And he's Blue Lions. So we'll have the 3 different things.
Did he get to the time skip yet?
No, I don't think so. I think he's he's like chapter 11, maybe. I might be chapter 9. I'm pretty sure maybe I'm chapter 9 at this point. I don't know. But yeah. It's good. It's a whole lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'll have a lot of time to play it next week. Next week I have like a work trip and I'll be in the car, not driving. Somebody else is driving. So I'll just get to hang out for like 4 hours as we drive down to Marietta, Georgia. So video game times probably is going to happen. But
I just bought another Switch charger too. I'm buying all sorts of stuff.
Nice. Like a battery pack charger or
no,
like
just a regular charger because like I want to have one mostly just so I can play handheld and not have to unplug it from my regular dock.
Yeah.
That's mostly reason. Why I did it. But also so I can just like put one in my bag and be like, that's just it,
Yep. That's a really good, I'm like contemplating so the new Switch is out and I'm thinking about getting that before the trip so that I can
have the
Fire Emblem only lasts like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like I played it for 20 minutes the other day and it went from 100% to 86%. It went down by 14% in 20 minutes. And I was
you just completely gave up on Ashley getting the yellow Switch. Like, rip,
I know.
Rip.
Seriously. So I'll probably maybe be getting that. But yeah, that's about all I've been playing. You been playing anything else?
What type of question is that? Obviously, I'm playing Brawlhalla.
Smash. Of course. Oh,
no.
Your favorite.
I would never in life play Brawlhalla. Side note, a different Smash ripoff today. There's another Smash major happening right now, and one of the other Smash ripoffs, Rivals of Aether. I probably made 4 people angry, and they're like, "Hey, look, Rivals of Aether, that game's trash." So they like were announcing some crap that nobody cares about, because who's looking for Rivals of Aether updates? Dumb people too. So the developers are up on the stage or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, we're like working on the net code," and then I freaking sent that to Bob because like that's a meme where it's like net code's not a thing.
Yeah, right.
It's just something that people say to sound smarter than they are. And they're developers, and they just straight up said netcode. So I sent it to Bob, and he was like, "That hurts our theory." And I was like, "No, this is Rivals of Aether. If anything, it makes our theory even more sound. Because Rivals of Aether is garbage." But yeah, so I've been watching that Smash Bros. Major thing. I've been doing the Smash Bros. Tournaments. I'm angry because they have an event tournament, but Pokemon Trainer isn't in the event tournament, so that event tournament doesn't exist as far as
Wait, what do you mean?
There's a heroes versus villains or something like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Event. And Pokemon Trainer is not one of the options that you could pick. Plus, it's 4 players, and it's dumb. It's
so that's
dumb.
part of the online tournament thing from 4.0?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So is this kind of like replacing Splatfests, do you think, in a certain way?
Kind of, I guess. But
I mean, obviously, completely different game, all that stuff. But as like a, kind of thing to rally around.
I don't think that they make as big of a deal of it, Like, it doesn't feel like a thing that you do and, like, do this to get this or whatever. Like, I don't even think you get anything. You might get like a freaking spirit, but like, who cares, dude? They don't even have descriptions. See, I would care way more about spirits if they had descriptions.
Honestly, yeah, that's a really good point. I felt the same way playing through it, and I was like, oh, that's a cool character.
Who is it though?
I don't know what it is. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, all right, girl in mask, and that's like all it's called or something too. Because in the game that it's from, girl in mask didn't have a name or something like that. So you're like, how do I just look up girl in mask? Or I'm just making that up, by the way. That's not a real thing. But that kind of thing definitely happened. Where I was
Put
like,
it in 5.0. Give me that in the update instead of whatever stupid kid. Take Banjo out because he's probably gonna be cheap too. Take him out of the game. No, I'm joking.
You love Hero, don't lie.
But no, Hero's pure garbage, dude. Like, Hero is the worst. And I don't even get cheesed by him that much because he's not like hard to play against for Pokemon Trainer. But the times that you do get cheesed, it's like, oh, come on, dude. Like, you had 147%. I had 20 and I'm dead. That makes no sense, Like, that type of stupid crap. But
he's a party character for sure. And like, I think he perfectly fits my style of playing, probably.
He's so trash. He's so trash.
Which is just fun.
Like, even at a party, I'm not inviting whoever picks Hero ever again.
True.
Because, like, that's just garbage, dude. Like, come on, man. Like, come on.
Yep. No, I remember playing Brawl back with my college roommates, and it was just funny the different ways that we'd all. So, like, 2 of them would practice competitively, or I mean, in that kind of a style. Still a lot less than you, or probably a lot of other people. But that same kind of idea, like playing against other folks or whatever. And then 2 of us were like, yeah, we're pretty good, but we spam some of the same things and like, just, we do all right and have fun.
Fair,
like,
competitive players spam a lot too.
That's true. Yeah. One of the dudes literally would just, it frustrated me so bad. He would just sit as Lucas and just spam up his up smash. Like, and in 4-player, you just run into it all the time. And it made me mad. But, and especially because he was like, oh, whatever, doesn't matter. That annoyed me. But then my 5th roommate, who like barely played at all, did not care about the fact that he would just come in as Pikachu and use Thunder the whole time. And it was like, here we go, y'all.
That's like
we're doing it.
Of Smash Brothers, 100%.
Absolutely. He was like, yep, this is how we're doing it. We're having fun. And we were like,
we're having fun.
Please get out of here. But it was fun nevertheless. So
the worst.
That was all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, is that all you've been playing?
Yep.
Cool. Speaking of Smash Bros, I didn't actually throw this in here anywhere. Evo happened this last week.
Yes, it did. And
Tell me your thoughts about all that.
I'm sad still. So the grand finals was a Pokemon Trainer main question mark. He's the number 2 ranked player in the world, and he fittingly faced the number 1 best player in the world.
There you go.
And he was a Wario main, like that's who he mainly used, but he uses a lot of different characters. And he recently picked up Pokemon Trainer, and I'm talking like maybe 2 months ago, max. He started using Pokemon Trainer. He won a major with Pokemon Trainer, and then immediately after that, the next major that he went to was Evo, and he got to the grand finals. And matter of fact, he didn't drop a game or a set. He didn't drop a set the entire tournament. MK Leo, actually, who's the one that won, he actually lost a set and got sent to losers, and he came all the way back from losers into winners and beat Tweak. I was upset because I wanted Pokemon Trainer to win again. Even though he probably would have got nerfed if he did.
That's a good point.
But like, I don't know.
It's a blessing in disguise, you know?
It seems like Sakurai wants Pokemon Trainer to work in the way that you would think that it should. So like the nerf that Pokemon Trainer did get, I don't care, because like it just made him more balanced, you know? Like before, it was Ivysaur was just the one that you use. Right, 90% of the time, because Squirtle's good, but he can't, like, he can kill, but like his kills are like pretty technical. Because his most reliable kill is you have to like essentially send your opponent into tumble and then jab them before their animation. Like there's like a certain state that you're in that you can jab them, and you specifically have to use your first jab. You can't use the like rapid jab. You can't jab twice. You jab once, stop that jab, they jump up. If they don't have high enough percent, you jab them again. They jump up again. If they have high enough percent, you forward smash them. And you have to do it while they're in the air, like when they jump up on the ground. And then they're just dead. But like, turns out that's not the most reliable way to kill somebody in a fast-paced match where you're playing somebody that knows what they're doing. Also, if they tech, then it doesn't work. Which teching, for people that don't know, if you hit the ground, that means you didn't tech. But if you roll to left or towards your opponent or in place by hitting the shield button right before you drop on the ground, that's tacking.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, well now Charizard's better. So Charizard does his job. Where the whole point is like rack up percent with Squirtle, go in the IV to like try to close it out until you get high percent, and then switch to Charizard so he can tank out the high percentage kill moves and stuff. But he's also there to like wreck the dude because all his moves kill, and now his moves are just better at doing that. So yeah.
Nice.
That's the Smash Bros. Hour. MK Leo won. That's cool. I don't have a problem with it. See, that's the thing, though. Like, Smash Brothers has this thing. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that just happens generally in whatever's competitive. There's usually the guy that is just the dude that wins everything. Like, last time it was Zero, like in Smash 4. And now it's MK Leo. And it just gets to a point where everybody starts to hate him. I don't hate MK Leo. I just wanted Pokemon. I just wanted Tweak to win specifically because he plays the character that I use, and that's it. Which is like kind of polar opposite to how a lot of like competitive Smash Bros. Players look at their characters, because like everybody is usually like, oh, my character is the worst in the game, they're really bad, you know, which is kind of like a soft brag of like, I'm really good at this game because I use a character that's garbage. But like I'm like, Pokemon Trainer's dope. You know, like, I just want to see him win stuff. But yeah, that's the Smash Brothers hour.
Good stuff.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, we'll talk more about some stuff related to that when we get to your video later, which I could have just waited and talked about it then, but I forgot that we were even going to all that stuff. So, you know, whatever. But some news that's kind of breaking-ish or whatever, but is news as of today, which was yesterday for anybody listening on Saturday when this comes out. Some Wal Marts, I can't tell if it's some or just one Walmart, but it seems like more than one. But I'll check the article.
It seems like a varying thing, because some Walmarts completely, to like not step on where you were trying to go with it. Some Walmarts are pulling advertisements for violent games. Some Walmarts are completely taking the games out of their like, that's insane.
There's a picture of it's the Switch and Xbox cases at this one Walmart. And there's literally like 3 games on the Switch side, which is really funny because it's like NBA 2K19, FIFA 19, Mario Kart 8, and that's like it. A lot of those other games, it's like, I don't know if I'd really even consider these violent. Like I get, you know, Super Mario Odyssey or something like that. Is that violent because you're jumping on things? I mean, I guess you play as a tank. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that it doesn't. I think that it, you know, like, I don't want to use the word. I'm not going to use that word because it does. It's not as drastic as that would imply in the context of this whole discussion. But I was going to say desensitized, but it's not Again, it's not that dramatic.
Right.
But like, if you think like, oh, I'm going to stomp on that dude's head. That
like we talked about last week with kids and stuff, where you're like, oh, it's kind of weird to say. Yeah, totally.
Right. So like in Mario, though, it's a cartoon. It's like kiddish and all that other stuff. So it doesn't, it seems benign, or it is benign.
Right. I mean, it's rated for children for a reason, you know, like, what is that? Like,
because like they're not saying take Looney Tunes off the TV and like Marvel movies goodbye, like that sort of thing. It's like it's specifically video games. And again, to add more context to this, because we didn't even really talk about that. In response to like the mass shootings that happened in Texas and Ohio. And I think El Paso and Dayton. Yeah. And El Paso's Texas and Dayton.
Yes, correct. Adding context.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and every time something like this happens, people look for a scapegoat and they say, like, they pick one side or the other, and it's like, oh, you got to do this, oh no, you got to do that. And in this case, that affects us particularly, is everybody's like, oh, it's video games' fault. Which is stupid, and people that play video games know that it's stupid, but like also like it's like a rough issue, because like on some level I do know some people that are more violent because of video games. But I wouldn't say that I think that's a them issue more so than it's a like, because like if that same person lost in Monopoly, they would be the same way.
I mean, that's the tricky thing. So I was looking up looking into like therapists and stuff like that around town, and noticed that some of them had or that as part of the things, so there's like anxiety, depression, blah 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 blah, and one of the things was, and this was a topic a couple months ago, but video game addiction as one of the things, which I just think is interesting, because I don't think we might have talked about this when it happened. Maybe it was before I joined. I don't remember. But in any case, like, in my opinion, I think addiction is like chronic addiction is, more of the issue there. And then video games is an outlet, or your phone is an outlet, or, I mean, there's like with drug addiction, there's an actual like chemical component related to that specific chemical that's in the drug, and like different things like that, where there's, specific chemicals related to a product of some sort. But a lot of other things, that's not exactly the case, like video game addiction. Or so like similarly, I think.
Yeah, it's 100% a situation of like, yes, this can happen in extreme cases, but it's extreme cases and the chances of it are very small, and the direct cause of it is not the video game itself. Right. Yeah. Like that same person that just so happened to get addicted to video games, because that's their vice, would have got addicted to movies in the same way, or whatever, like the medium isn't the issue. It's the problem of addiction itself that's the issue. And that's what's happening here. Like video games themselves are not what makes people violent. It's just, you're just a violent person and this is your outlet,
I thought like, so Reggie tweeted out, other people had before him and he just retweeted it, I think, but that graph that showed violence or specifically gun violence in the US versus other countries that had, so it was like a chart of all the countries that had high video game grossing numbers, and then next to it, a chart with those same countries and shootings. Yeah. And the US was literally the only one, which I mean makes sense, because we also are one of the only ones that has the gun laws that we have and stuff like that. So
yeah, because I mean, like the stat that everybody's talking about is there's like one gun at least for every man, woman, and child in the country. Obviously, that's not actually the thing. Like, not everybody has a gun. There's like, I
but
think
some people have like 12 guns or something like that.
The stat was that 50% of the guns that are in the country are owned by 3% of the country. Yeah. Which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, without getting too much into the political side, it's just interesting that this same Walmart that pulls all the video games then still has guns for sale in that same Walmart.
And that's the other thing that's weird about it, because like people were saying that and they're like, well, get rid of your gun section. I was like, wait, Walmart has a gun section? My Walmart doesn't have a gun section.
Maybe my Walmart has a gun section. I don't go to that section or that area, so like I don't really know. But
I don't think
I wouldn't be too
I don't think the
surprised.
Walmart near me has a gun section.
Yeah, at least one's like not too far from me. Like, so I'm like in the kind of suburbsy around Nashville, Tennessee kind of area. So it's, I'm in the South, but then if you go 30 minutes outside of where I'm at, you'll get to like the South, in more rural areas and stuff like that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if those places do. But yeah, just overall, it's an interesting thing. And it does sound like, so for some context, I think Walmart responded and stuff, and they said this isn't like a policy specifically that they have going forward or anything like that. It's more out of respect, which I mean is fine, but is also kind of, I don't know. It does add to the whole like rhetoric of it's the fault of video games, not it's something bigger than that we need to address a little more specifically in some way or another. Like, obviously, I think that's getting only barely political. I think the thing that frustrates me just about the way that people address these kinds of topics is instead of trying to figure out something that we all can like just agree on to make it even a step better, it's like either it's just completely one side or the other. That's kind of the problem with the bipartisan system and whatnot. But like, the same way that you and I talk about video games and have different opinions and like come to kind of consensuses of sorts or whatever.
Oh no, you're just dumb. We established this.
Forgot about that. Sorry.
We established this.
But like, I think there's like steps that everybody could have, or that the majority of people could agree on to
like,
make it a little bit better.
There are people
if nothing
on
else.
like both sides of the aisle that play video games, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that apart from this discussion that we're like having and people feel like they need to be on one side or the other within gaming because they're on one side or another in regards to everything else with the two different sides or whatever. I don't think that they would say in a vacuum that like, yeah, video games make you violent or whatever, because then they would be saying, yeah, man, video games make you violent. That's why I want my guns, like, it's just like it just wouldn't make sense.
After I play Super Mario Odyssey, I just like to just hold my gun, No.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know. I think that it's weird that everything is like, I mean, just by definition, pretty much everything is political. But I don't know why everybody has to make it about politics in that like very direct and in their divisive way,
Yes,
when it's about the presidential election all of a sudden, it's that type of issue,
or about just being Democratic or being Republican. Like, that's I 100% agree. That's the thing that frustrates me is like when it's like, well, this is my ideology, so I'm going to agree with my ideology of the political party rather than just what I think is best as a person and like all the things that make sense. I don't know. But I mean, I also, I see plenty of, less so now actually, but plenty of like Nintendo fanboys or Xbox fanboys or PlayStation fanboys or whatever. And like, I think when you become engrossed in the thing and like, we mostly partake in video game news, like that's the thing that we focus on. So like if you're mostly focusing on Republican or Democratic news and that's like the echo chamber that you're stuck in, like it's just natural that would become the thing that kind of overwhelms what you're used to thinking or whatever. So but it does make it harder to have more reasonable and helpful discussions that make progress happen in one direction or another.
It's a rough situation. I think that just on the topic of the topic itself, that's dumb. I don't think video games cause violence. I've been playing video games for freaking 25, almost 26 years of my life. And I never once wanted to freaking shoot somebody,
Yep.
Barely even in games, honestly.
That's also true.
So there's that.
Yeah, mistakes are happening, and also mistakes are happening with E3 and the ESA.
The ESA is pure garbage, and we need to all stop going to E3. I think that in the future, I don't like if we cover the announcements from E3. I don't want to use E3, branding. I don't want to call the video E3 20. I don't want to do any of that. It's just going to be, Nintendo announced the thing. Because E3 is garbage and it needs to die.
I think the thing, it's hard because like E3 is synonymous with like excitement about video game news, but like really it has nothing to do with the event itself. That's just the event that's hosting the video game news, or a platforms for the video game news to happen,
Because in 2006, when you had to watch it on Spike TV, it mattered that it was under one umbrella and all of this stuff. But now that like freaking Nintendo announces the top selling game of the year on a random Thursday, like, why do we need E3? Like that.
Honestly, they could we could just have pretty much that same week and it be called Gaming Week, and like all the companies
not owned by the ESA.
And like, even if there's not a location for it or something like that, which obviously there's benefit to there being a location for it for people that aren't us, for gaming outlets or whatever, to have like behind closed. I think it's literally just the behind closed doors kinds of things all I can imagine.
I think that the problem with the ESA in particular is that they step all over the benefit of being there by also trying to monetize it and bring in like the general public and all that stuff, because then it gets all hazy and stuff like that. And like, don't get me wrong, it's possible to do both and make it this commercial and also business thing, because PAX does it, but PAX does it so much better. So much better. And I know PAX has their own little situation that people don't like them for, but if I'm being real, I don't really care about that.
I don't know what their situation is.
Colin Moriarty, who's they're like they canceled his panel or whatever, and they won't say why. But people are like, it's political, blah, blah. I'm not getting into that. I don't really care about that. It's not like they completely ousted this man and were like, they didn't freaking dox him. You know what I mean? Also, they still gave him the passes and all this. So it was more so about the panel itself, and it became this symbolic thing. And then he wanted to rally behind like, poor me or whatever. Because like, I don't want to talk about that part. But anyway, the point is, PAX is better than E3.
Apparently, PAX has tried to buy out E3 before, like talked about it, or maybe just some. I know on the Spawn Wave they talked about PAX and E3, and either they were saying that they have thought about trying to do it, or just that they should, which are two very different things.
I don't know if Penny Arcade could do that.
I don't know either.
But I mean, they could try if they have the capital. I doubt it. But they could try. But then again, I mean, E3's dying, so.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So.
I mean, partly as a product
it was dying even apart from this. This just is like the nail in the coffin.
I think it's just getting a worse and worse rap anyway. But I don't know if we even actually specifically said what it is that they did. But the ESA leaked. I
don't know if I want to say.
Leaked some information about some people. And it's frustrating and annoying to. I don't know. I think it's probably fine to say, I don't know, because it's not like, whatever.
Is maybe it? Because I don't know. I don't know if you could just straight up Google like the thing, you know, and just find it at this point, because I know people were doing that. Which it's a stupid, it's dumb. And ESA like needs to go somewhere and never come back.
So it's frustrating. ESA just keeps making mistakes, and some other ones we'll come back to that if we have more to say about it. Here we go on to the next thing, though, also related to the ESA, is Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are getting together. I don't know what getting together means in this context. It's not really specified, but are all working to get the ESA to. It mentions the ESA, but I don't really know, to be honest, what involvement they specifically have. But to try to get publishers to like tell, or what's the word I'm looking for? Tell the percentages of likelihood in loot boxes to
disclose?
Get different. Yes, disclose. That's the good fancy word that I was looking for. On their platforms. So like, if you're playing FIFA or whatever, and you get a loot box in there, that you would see in this loot box, there's like a 2% chance of getting the player that you want, or however that works. I don't know. I've never played FIFA. They're working on that, but it's coming from Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, which I am curious if they're working at all together on this, or because the fact that they're all three working on it at the same time seems a little coincidental for them all three to be working on it. Like I could see two of them coincidentally at the same time, but all three is.
It could be a thing of like Microsoft or Nintendo, probably Microsoft, just based on how things are happening, being like, we need to do this. And then they go to Nintendo and they're like, we need to do this. And Nintendo's like, I guess we'll try to get Sony. And then they're both like, we need to do this. And Sony's like, no, but okay, fine.
Yeah. Yep. And so here's an update as of more recently too on this is the ESA has provided more details on loot box disclosures, saying that platform holders are targeting to implement them in 2020. The trade group released a list of its member companies that have pledged to release loot box disclosure odds on all new games by the end of 2020. That list includes Activision Blizzard, Bandai Namco Entertainment, Bethesda, Bungie, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Take-Two Interactive, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, and the Wizards of the Coast. And so it also gives, this article also mentions that Apple mandated a loot box disclosure for iOS games in 2017, and then Google did the same with Google Play the next year. But I don't know if I've noticed that before. Like I've played games, I feel like, like Dr. Mario. I guess maybe I haven't ever put in money. Like I don't know where it would stop you. So I've never put in money. So, maybe it's really obvious at that point, but who's to say? Curious what it would look like.
If you've seen disclosure for loot box stuff in mobile games, let us know.
Indeed.
In the comments.
Indeed.
I'm talking to you, Bianca or Grimhane, who are the people that usually give us this sort of information when we ask for it.
That's right. We got smart people up in here. We'll be finding out more about that kind of as time goes on. But it's good progress in any case. But it's just like ESA doesn't do anything. Like they're not doing this, and that's their job.
They're so garbage. Just cancel them. They're canceled.
For anybody who doesn't specifically know, the ESA is the company. I'll probably explain this a little bit wrong, so feel free to correct me, AJ. But
who cares about their description? If you get it wrong, doesn't matter. They don't really do anything worthwhile anyway.
They're not the game rating board. That's the ESRB, but they're the one that kind of like is the almost lobbying company sort of for gaming as a whole, and like keeping it organized, or like to try to create rules and regulations for gaming platforms and all that to make sure that everything stays above board and good and whatever. So they're the ones though that decided like last year or maybe 2 years ago at this point, when everybody was making a really big stink about loot boxes kind of for the first time, that they were like, nope, loot boxes aren't gambling. Don't even have to worry about it. We're fine. I also think ESA is specifically, it's just an American organization, so it would be different in other countries. For example, Belgium's already different, and that's where I lived for a while. So there you go. Neato.
Yep.
Yeah. That's also, doesn't matter. Moving right along, some other fun things. We got some wonderful announcements of 2 new NES games. I'm just kidding. I'm being sarcastic. Kung Fu Heroes and Vice Project Doom are coming to NES Online on August 21st. AJ, aren't you so excited?
I've been just waiting, I mean, to be honest, like there's no, like when they did the NES thing, all the games that I would have been like, oh snap, that game's on there, were pretty much accounted for.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like anything new that I think maybe Kirby wasn't on there at first.
Yeah, and I think Metroid wasn't, but they announced that it was coming within the next months. And Super Mario Bros. 2.
I didn't care about that.
Man, and I think like Wario Land came, or not Wario Land, sorry, Wario's Woods came later maybe, and I tried that for like 20 minutes.
Parker's summary says, Kung Fu Heroes and Vice Project Doom are coming to NES Online on August 21st, which is something. Give us stupid SNES games.
That's exactly what I wrote. So there you go. Yeah, it's about time. It's almost September. We're going to get, if we don't get SNES games, I don't know what is going on.
They're going to give us Virtual Boy games and we're going to accept it.
Yep. Also, they've moved from being around the 15th to slowly, like, I think it was around the 15th for a while that they'd give us new games. And then it was like more around the 18th and then up to around the 20th. So, like, I mean, sounds like probably if this is August 21st, I don't know, maybe the SNES stuff will be in line with the, September 20th of the Switch Lite coming out, and they'll just do a big old hullabaloo that day with everything.
Yeah, and then we'll get a SNES Switch. It'd be lit.
Oh man, I would be so happy. It would be great. Lit. Yeah, moving along. A lot of these ones are kind of just update things, so we'll get into some more conversation-y things shortly. But here's this, and this is relatively new news that I noticed. Activision had their, briefing thing, and they mentioned that they'll be doing more Spyro and more Crash Bandicoot and more remakes of older games. So here's their specific quote. Crash Team Racing enjoyed positive critical reviews and strong sales, particularly through digital channels. And they said, we've seen great results from remastering Crash, Spyro, incredible games modernized for today's platforms. Player response.
All right. We're not going to call Crash an incredible game. We're not just going to do that. Continue.
More than incredible games modernized for today's platforms. Player response for each of these has been fantastic. NST...
the Insane Trilogy. So
Insane Trilogy. You're right.
10 million copies.
This was like somebody's notes during the briefing, I think. Sold over 10 million copies. Big impact on bottom line. They're reaffirming enduring nature of these franchises. Beyond remasters, a lot of opportunity to innovate and think about totally new content with these IPs. A lot of growth opportunity for Activision based on these IP. Stay tuned for future announcements on remasters of other franchises. So this is exciting.
They're remastering Tony Hawk. You heard it here first. What?
Yeah. I think so. The only problem with Tony Hawk, if
I think their contract. Well, then again, no, because they did Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, and they like made that specifically so that the contract wouldn't go up. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's all licensing stuff, but mostly to do with the music is my real guess, because
true.
Like all the bands that were on Tony Hawk 1 and 2 or whatever were like kind of up and coming punk bands or like hip hop bands or whatever, and it was, probably pretty easy and cheap to get those. But now like Rage Against the Machine and whatever is like that's classic music, and they're a lot bigger now. So it's going to be way more expensive to acquire any of those licenses. Because they can't just be like, can you just give us this thing again? And then obviously they don't know for sure that they'll have as much sales now as they would have back then or something like that. So I mean, you'd think that they would, but whatever. I'm trying to, I'm looking up. I want to do this ahead of time, but I grabbed this.
What, Activision games that you would want remastered?
That's exactly what, yep, you got it.
Call of Duty #1.
Man, so many Call of Duties. Goodness.
The first one, the one that nobody liked, but like eventually, like it became a thing, and then it was the thing, and now everybody doesn't like it anymore.
Yeah, they could do a remake of Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Kind of bring that up to the modern age.
True. They could give it easy mode.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm looking at so many of these games that are theirs.
I don't give a crap about freaking Activision games, Like, they have Crash. Garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trash, man.
To be honest, a lot of these, I think they would have to go back to the ones in that kind of era or whatever, like platformers and the more Nintendo-esque games, all things considered, as far as just like feel and vibe, are probably the ones that would benefit from this the most, and probably some old Call of Duties. Like I could see that working out well as well.
Remaster Pitfall.
I noticed that too. I don't even really know what Pitfall is.
I've
seen Pitfall. Yeah. I've never played it, but yeah, I've seen some footage of it before.
Garbage. It's not garbage.
But they could bring that IP up and do something with it. Like that would be kind of interesting. It wouldn't have a whole lot of name recognition to a lot of people these days, but nevertheless. But new Crash and Spyro games, that would be neat. I'd wonder if they stick to the kind of same Crash formula as far as perspective and all that kind of stuff.
Or they can make it good. Apparently, there was a Pitfall remaster sort of situation. Pitfall 3D.
Oh my!
At
it probably looks like
1990.
garbage.
Probably.
Ugh. Yeah,
it
that sounds like the worst.
Sounds trash. Remastered Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 or 2. One of those.
Pitfall
one of
3D
those.
looks like just butts. It's a PS1 game. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But yeah, this looks like not the kind of remake that you know
Remastered
doesn't go well.
2-in-1 DreamWorks Shark Tale plus Shrek 2.
Yes, please. Activision, that's all we've ever wanted. Man. Honestly, a new Spyro could be like, I really like Spyro as well. I'll probably get that after it's been out for a bit, once it goes on sale or something.
I think they have the 007 license.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. I don't know how that applies for GoldenEye and stuff.
They'd have to talk to Nintendo.
Right, yeah. But like, I don't know if they have the 007 license for later games or like for GoldenEye as well, or
I think
you know what I mean?
it's just all over the place, especially with that game in particular.
Yep. So let us know in the comments, what Activision games would you like to see remastered or remade,
tell us
rather?
all 4 Activision games that aren't terrible.
All things considered, like, so with both of these franchises, the Crash Insane trilogy and the Spyro Reignited trilogy, although I haven't played the Spyro Reignited trilogy, they did a good job of bringing the exact same games up to today's standards and making them feel like you thought they were when you were a kid.
They bring them up to today's standards. I'll give you Crash Team Racing, but that wasn't garbage though.
Well, but so what I'm saying is, like, regardless of what your thoughts were of those original franchises, they did them. It's not like, because I think if they changed them a ton.
So you're saying they just made the garbage look better. Gotcha.
They made your perceived amount of the garbage.
they made it prettier
look
garbage.
And feel better.
Got
yeah.
it.
No, I do definitely stand by the fact that Crash is not a series that, like, because Mario, if you're, most regular Mario levels, if you know what you're doing, or if you're paying attention and you're good, you can one-shot pretty much any level, theoretically, because it's got enough cues and, like, everything's, worked out that way.
Well designed is
exactly. And Sonic is, like, somewhere halfway in between, where it's like, it'll take more trial and error for sure. But theoretically, like, you can, go through and you can still make it to the end in one piece, but it's just not going to be as fluid.
Depending on the Sonic game you're talking about.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The first 3 and Mania. And then, like, there's some other stuff strewn about in between.
But Crash 100% is trial and error, which for a platformer
well
is like, or for a platformer with lives is really annoying, because that's just a pain to, like, well, I lost all my lives because, like, it kept throwing something new at me that I didn't know was going to happen. And, like, any of the levels that you're running at the camera away from a rolling boulder, that kind of a thing is like, you can get some of that stuff right, but a lot of it, you don't know. It doesn't have any cues or whatever. So
it's not good. It's not a good idea. You know what's a better idea than Crash?
What?
Barbie as the Island Princess. Remaster that.
Oh no.
Activision, man, they have just like a vaunted library, you know what I mean? They have great games in their catalog.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna look this up differently.
They could remaster Blade and Blade 2.
Interesting. I'm just looking up Activision franchises this time instead.
I'm just looking at a real big list. The Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 2009. Give it to us now.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of
There's so many Call of Duty games.
So many Call of Duty games and not a whole lot of other things. So, anyways, let us know which ones of those you want to see remastered. There you go.
Yup.
And with the best segue ever, we got some Pokemon news this week.
We sure did.
There you go. It was the segue of the century.
Cancel the game. Hashtag Brexit. Hashtag National Dex. Hashtag free the guys. That's my favorite one.
Wait, what?
Hashtag free the guys. Yeah, that's my favorite hashtag.
As in, like, all the old Pokemon or the guys?
Yeah, the guys. The old Pokemon, man, the guys.
Okay, yeah, sure, of course.
We all called them.
No females among them. Are there?
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you? Even though, like, that is a thing mostly. Like, most Pokemon have very low female ratio, male to female ratio.
Interesting.
There's, like, one female Pokemon for every 8 male ones.
Man, I thought most of them were, like, half and half. I guess I never, like, looked at it.
No.
Like, too
I think even
much
Jigglypuff has a higher male to female ratio.
There were some of them where I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? It is funny too, though, because like my wife and I will be watching Pokemon or something, or just talking about Pokemon and different Pokemon. Like she's always seen Ash's Pikachu as a girl Pikachu, and I've always seen Ash's Pikachu as a guy Pikachu. And then I think Togepi maybe was the opposite, where like I thought of Togepi as a girl Togepi, and she thought of Misty's Togepi specifically as a guy Togepi. Which
okay,
I mean,
never mind, I was wrong. It's not Jigglypuff. It's another Pokemon.
There's
probably
Clefairy, maybe? I don't know.
Throughout here. No, it's something else that is just like, what?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense.
I definitely remember seeing something along those lines. If you know which Pokemon that is, then there's probably a few. Let us know in the comments. We love comments. But yeah, we got some news this week. We'll talk about my video and everybody, specifically people's comments on my video a little bit later. But do you have any just thoughts on the news? So we got Galarian forms of Pokemon, an evolution of one of those, more Pico, Team Yell, new rivals, and jobs was the summation.
We made a video about this a while ago for Sinnoh, for Sinnoh forms. So you know what, Nintendo, if you want to use any of those, hit us up. You know what I mean? Hit us up if you want to keep up this form situation, because I like it.
Me too.
There's a lot of new Pokemon. I don't know how many actual new Pokemon there will be because of the different ways they have of introducing new Pokemon now.
Right.
You know, like, I don't know how, like, they could be like, okay, we have 120 new Pokemon or whatever, right? How many of those are actually going to be new species? And how many of them are going to be like variants on Pokemon that we already have? Not say again.
How would you categorize evolution of prior Pokemon in that? Still, would
I
you
think like what is
like
his name?
Obstagoon.
I think he's a new Pokemon.
You're right.
I would just say he's straight up new. But like Galarian Weezing, not new, just a variant. Same thing with Zigzagoon and Linoone.
I mean, they don't have a different dex number or anything either, right?
I'm pretty
sure. Yeah, because in like Let's Go
and the game that you didn't play in Sun Moon.
True.
They don't.
I would know. Yeah.
Hashtag free game provided by Nintendo. Not mine. I bought it. I gave it for free to Parker though.
That's right. I have yet to play it, but
also
I shall.
Gave it to Dan.
That same code?
A different code. I gave him Sun and I gave you Moon.
Nice. We can trade and be friends. Oh yeah, we should have mentioned Dan. In case you're curious, like I thought Dan was going to be on here.
We're allowed to say why Dan's not here. I should have asked him that.
I have no clue. I don't even know the context of things, but we thought he was going to be able to be on this week, and then he had work stuff come up. So so he didn't. But originally, AJ asked him on because he thought I was going to be gone this week and next week, but it's actually the next 2 weeks. So blah blah blah. Long story short, no Dan right now, but
maybe Dan next week. But who knows?
Dan or someone else or AJ just talking straight at you guys.
Yeah, just talking to my computer for an hour and a half or 2 hours, I guess. It shows 2 hours
something like that. That's right. But yeah, any kind of, before we go into the comments, any major thoughts that you have on this news?
I wanted to see more about the Pokemon job stuff because I like crap like that.
Yep,
like more stuff that fleshes out the world and it's not just doing the same thing for 20 years. Introduce a new crap. Let me actually play a game instead of going through menus. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's gonna. Unfortunately, the Pokemon Jobs is going to be a menus thing as well. But nevertheless, it won't feel like that.
How dare you even suggest such a thing?
I do what I can.
But yeah, no. Let me do more than go through menus, you cowards. I want to see more Galarian Pokemon. I think that the exclusive evolution thing is a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
That they're just like, oh, he has like that would have been crazy if they did that with freaking Execute. You know, if like Executor, Alolan Executor was the third of all form.
Yeah.
Instead of just being Executor.
Right. Yeah.
That would have been dope, but they didn't do that.
Nope.
So here we are. You know what I mean? Obstagoon's cool. I want them. Are any of these? No, I don't think so because they didn't put it on the screen. So it's like none of these are like region exclusive. Reason usually is though.
Oh, you mean like game exclusive? Like
yeah, game exclusive.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't mention that. Did they mention that with other Pokemon? I don't think they've mentioned it with any of the new Pokemon, have they?
Yeah, they mentioned it with the last like drop of news. They said a couple of like region exclusives or game exclusives.
I forgot. Yeah. Because last time we got Duraludon, or I probably said that wrong, whatever. Which other new ones did we get last time? I don't know.
Pokemon, let's go.
Gossifleur, was that new? No, that was in the E3 Direct.
We got like
Alcremie or
yeah.
Alcremie. Oh, somebody pointed out, I think it was Casey DeFreitas on the Nintendo voice chat with IGN, which is a fun show. She pointed out that it's Alcremie probably because it's like alchemy.
Yeah.
But we were saying it just the way that sounded not right.
I don't think that I've even once said that name out loud. So I'm on the right side of history.
On you.
You know what I mean?
That's right. So many of these Pokemon, it's just hard to know. Did you find out which ones were announced?
I'm trying to figure it out, but
I don't know.
Google Chrome doesn't want to cooperate with me right now.
Yeah. Oh well.
So
in the meantime, whether we look that up or not, let's talk about some of these comments. One of my favorite ones, just because I didn't understand what in the world was happening. The comment is probably about $60 or $70. And I was like, what?
I immediately knew exactly what he was talking about because when you sent me that title, I was like, but... And I was like, ugh, I don't even feel like going through this. Because, like, I'm always thinking of stuff like that. Like, I'm trying to make the title as stupid as possible so everybody will get it, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm. But the title was
Wheezing
How Expansive
and Coughing,
Is... Okay,
Wheezing and Coughing, they're version exclusives in the past.
Okay, gotcha.
But not... They're version exclusives to red, green, and blue, and they're not in yellow. Like that.
Right.
Hold on, wait. Are they exclusive?
I don't know if I can't think. Generally have like old Pokemon been region exclusive or version exclusives when they come to new ones too? Like I don't know, Oddish and Blossom. If they're both in Gen 4 or something like that, will they be version exclusive?
Meowth has been game exclusive. But usually it's like the third version sort of situation.
Right.
Like Meowth is only in Emerald in Gen 3.
Gotcha.
And then
whereas
like
he's
Fire
only in Blue,
Red
I
and
think.
Leaf Green, they have version exclusives for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is Weezing one of those in that game? There's just too many.
I think he would be. It sounds like he would be in both of those if he wasn't in Yellow. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah. So he's not usually version exclusive.
Cool. All right. It is interesting to me. Is there? Because this isn't the first one, I don't think. With Alolan forms, there were some. Yeah, like Alolan Executor. There's not an Alolan Execute, so.
Yeah.
How did you evolve into Alolan Executor?
Just evolved the regular Execute.
Okay. And then when you're in Alola, it just becomes Alolan. Okay. So.
But it's like weird in Pokemon Let's Go because like you can give it to a guy and then That's how that happens.
He's like, I've got $1 billion executors. Do you want to trade me one of yours? And it's like, why do you have so many of these? Are you a poacher? Like, what's going on?
Oof.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah. So in any case, the title was How Expansive is Pokemon Sword and Shield? And this person thought I wrote expensive, and I was so confused. And AJ was like, I think he thought you said expensive, and I was literally cracking up for like 10 minutes. It shouldn't be that funny, but it just was, because I was like, what is going on? So yeah, moving along to more of the comments. Here's our novel for today. This is from Seven. I thought the trailer was pretty solid. Obstagoon, the Kiss Badger, is best boy, and I'm painting my face pink and joining Team Yell because Marnie is bae. On that subject, I don't know if you remember, but one of my very first comments on this channel was about how cool/funny it'd be if the rival was a famous person you happen to always run into, but they think you're stalking them. It would be great if that was the dynamic with your character and Marnie, with Team Yell always butting in to defend their waifu. And yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that Team Yell is a decoy like Team Skull was, and that Chairman Rose is the real bad guy, with Bede just being another pawn in whatever evil scheme he has going on.
All right, so we had a whole thing about this.
Yep.
Where I tweeted this, and Parker, freaking this piece of garbage over here, was like, has that been a thing in the past or something stupid? You know, you get the gist. You know what he would say. You've been here for long enough that you can imagine what stupid thing Parker probably said. And I'm like, you would know if you played the free game that I sent you. And he's like, oh, no, time, responsibilities, and all that stupid crap, you know. I'm sick of it, you know?
For what it's worth, I will say you specified that there's another evil team. And there obviously, yeah. So, but in the video, I did talk about, just like Bianca said here, that blah 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 blah, that Chairman Rose is probably actually the big bad, and Team Skull is like, or Team Yell is just like a side nuisance or whatever. So in that sense, like, I mean, no, I didn't know that was a thing in other ones, but I didn't know if there was like Team Skull and also Team Gorchakar. I don't know, I just made up a fake word. But no, still, I didn't know about all that stuff. I looked it up later, and it was the something foundation, the Arthur something foundation in Pokemon Sun and Moon. I don't know what it was called. The Arthur Foundation. That's my dog's name. But yes, so I think I totally agree. And the whole Chairman Rose, have they done like a good guy or a bad guy who seems to be a good guy kind of thing in Pokemon games before? Where it's like I don't know. Yeah, like this guy seems like he's really good, but then it turns out, he was fake the whole time.
You they did it in like X and Y, but again, like usually it's like super telegraphed, right? Where just like you're clearly a bad guy. Like, look at your hair, dude. Like, you're obviously evil.
Yeah. But Chairman Rose doesn't quite give that same vibe.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And usually, like, that's the better way to go about it, you know?
Yeah.
As far as storytelling goes, because it's supposed to be this twist. But even in like Sun and Moon, where it's set up like a twist, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, she's nice and she's helping me and stuff. She makes these faces where she just like freaking like grimaces at you and stuff. And I'm like, you're clearly evil. Like, you're clearly evil.
What if she wasn't in the end? Like, what kind of a twist would that be? Like, oh, it turns out like nothing ever happened with it.
Angry, crazed faces at you for no reason at all, and it's like especially funny because, and I talked about this in a video a long time ago when Sun and Moon was new, the first one, not even Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Nice.
Because I like freaking marathon through that the first weekend because I wanted to make a video about it, and also I was probably going to do that anyway. But yeah, I was like, it's funny that like your character's not expressive at all. You know, like, oh, your freaking friend just died, and you're just sitting there, blank face, staring at the camera, and everybody else in the game is super expressive. So it's like to the point where you see people's intent and their facial expressions, but your character's just sitting there like,
Honestly, that's kind of even the case in Fire Emblem Three Houses a little bit, where like your main character, obviously, like
they even comment on it. They say something about that. Where it's just like you're just sitting, like what, like you're just always blank faced.
And that's just an interesting. The whole like blank main character that you can relate to. You know, the link type thing where it's like, oh, that's you. You can just tell. I get it, but at the same time, I feel like they go over a lot of times they go overboard.
If they're going to do that, then like let you decide.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, do you want to be surprised?
Especially in something like Fire Emblem. But in Fire Emblem, they kind of like make it like a plot thing.
Yeah, that's true. I do feel like, honestly, Golden Sun, I feel like was a game that did a really good job of that. Also, it's a Game Boy game.
Just married already. Jeez.
But like it gives you, it doesn't matter. We'll get into it a different time. I'm going to keep reading this comment. Here we go. Maybe the big stadium and hype over the Galar League is just a distraction or some conspiracy to gather battle data / energy for something relating to the legendaries. Anyway, I also like the Pokejobs mechanic because, like you said, it gives Pokemon outside your active party something to do instead of just sitting in a box for most of the game. The little animation they showed in the Japanese trailer where the trainer waves her Pokemon off to their jobs makes me cry happy girl tears because it was just beyond cute. Finally, I like that there is basically a pub in the Pokemon Center, or malt shop, I guess, since your character's underage, because it keeps the welcoming feeling from Sun and Moon, where stepping into a new town's Pokemon Center for the first time and having a little drink to pause and reflect on the journey so far was one of my favorite things to do. All in all, I'm just looking forward to seeing the marketing for Pokemon Sword and Shield build momentum until release. My excitement level has been stagnant these last few weeks, and now it's slowly rising again thanks to this trailer. I'd really love to actually see a town and the starter evolution soon, and am always hoping for a new evolution. Great job, not AJ.
Great video.
Great video. That's the one.
But yeah, I agree with the great video, not AJ part. Because, you know, as you'd imagine, I wanted to make that like a whole bit where it's like, you had to pry Pokemon from my cold dead hands.
Right.
But like, I trust your videos, man. Like, you make good videos. Like, yeah, make a freaking Pokemon video, you know? And like, you know how like this is like the highest compliment, because like I literally was working on a Pokemon video anyway, and I was like, nah, you do it. You know?
Nice.
So I freaking pulled that Evo video out of my butt and was like, nice. You talk about, go ahead, do it.
Yeah. It was fun. And I think like speculating about things also, it was dangerous ground for sure, because again, I haven't played gens 5 through 7 and will be playing 7 very soon because I've got it and all that. But it was one of those where like I didn't want to say stuff I was fine with saying stuff a little bit wrong, but I didn't want to say stuff that was really wrong, because like, you know, or just speculate about things that are completely unrealistic either. Like there's kind of fine lines.
Oh, well, we won't catch any Charmanders in this game because they died in Gen 5.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of tricky on that front just because where I am. But in any case, like, I mean, all the things that I said are things that I'm like, I am excited about this game. And do think like that it's going to be, especially like, so you talked about the Pokejobs mechanic and all that. And like, that's something I hope there's more things like that where it feels like, again, in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, having your blades like go out and do things was kind of dumb, but also kind of cool, where like it leveled them up. So on a gameplay kind of stance, like that's just good to have.
I think for Pokemon, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
because
totally.
like the lore of this is that this is their world, you know? So it makes sense for in this world people to do more than just the thing that we've been doing in like freaking every Pokemon game for
like bring some Rhyme City into the rest of 100%. Like, because I think that was one of those things where like
Kanto or Hoenn or Johto or any other region in any other Pokemon medium, even in the games, they're like, oh yeah, you know, I just got back from my job, you know, I'm a cop, I'm Team Rocket, you want to join Team Rocket? Nah, you can't actually join Team Rocket. Are you stupid? You got to play the same game you've been playing for the last 2 decades.
Yep. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I mean, just like you talked about in here, I do hope that the, big bad kind of thing is at least somewhat cleverly done and not too telegraphed or whatever. Like I could see, because they're making a game that's also technically a kid's game, although I think they're probably targeting it just a little bit. Like if they used to target 7, maybe they're targeting 9-year-olds now or something like that. Like maybe not. I don't know. But
I don't know. I think it's always like, I don't think that they're targeting kids per se.
Yeah.
I think their goal and what Nintendo's goal always is to be bare minimum approachable to the lowest common denominator, you know, and then like put in little bits and pieces that are like, oh yeah, that'd be cool for you older fans, you know, like that whole thing.
I mean, because I could see that's the thing with like the, you know, a big twist like that where like a good guy turns out he's a bad guy. Like in, you know, adult content, movies, not like literal adult content, but like, you know, in PG-13 or R-rated movies or whatever, I feel like you can do a much quicker twist of like this person, you had no clue they were bad. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, they're bad. And like mentally, like that's okay. And you can handle that as a, I don't know, 13+-year-old or something, or, you know, but if you're a 7-year-old playing this game and you're like, you know what, Chairman Rose is the coolest guy.
Yeah, you're
and
just
like
he
really seems like
issues.
yeah, like you kind of have to like build it in, you know, build it up a little bit for it not to be a really big deal and actually be like kind of a little bit scarring for a kid, I guess. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
because even in kids,
I would say like good storytelling, even for like older, you know, like movies and literature and all that stuff, it foreshadows all that stuff. So like it's something that like you could have figured out on your own. It doesn't have to be this whole thing of like, here's the revelation and you never would have guessed. You know, I think that's like hamstringed and like
like some Scooby-Doo episodes are like, it was like Old Man Winkle. Like we've never met Old Man Winkle. Like how in the world could it have been? Like how could we have guessed that?
Like this was like this was the whole thing with like Detective Conan or Case Closed if you're not a weeb. Where it's like that's a big reason why I don't like that show. Because like it doesn't have that Scooby-Doo element of like where you can kind of follow along with like, oh, this guy did that and he did this thing and clearly he's the bad guy.
Yeah,
and
you can't piece it together
Case
yourself.
Closed, they're just like, didn't you see that dent that we walked past 4 years ago in that room that wasn't on the screen? That clearly means this guy did it, you know, like that sort of thing. It's like, nah, that was dumb. Like this is a bad mystery show because you can't even play along, and that's the whole appeal to mystery, you know, is being able to like follow along and be like, oh, this guy, he
was right the whole time. Yeah,
exactly.
And that kind of stuff. But yeah, so great comment. We'll keep talking about some of these things as we keep going. The next comment, Meteor Mash says, I don't know where you got that Team Yell is the evil team, but there is no proof of that as of now. They're called a team, but not evil. They are a toxic fan base, or they're seen as a toxic fan base. And Marnie is not the team leader, is not the leader either. The Japanese trailer shows that she dislikes them. I really hate this misconception of Team Yell. Which is
what?
I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of the content, but it was just funny how it was said. I mean, there's still definitely things that we don't know. But
I disagree. I think that the fact that they're called Team Yell implies that in the context of Pokemon,
they're an antagonist, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. They are the evil team as a thing, you know, like capital E, capital T sort of situation. Like Team Rocket, even though like in the broader sense of things, like they're like the freaking mafia, like in Pokemon itself, they're also this goofy, like, you know, like team that's not actually a threat sort of situation, but they're the evil team, TM. So like, and it's not uncommon for the leader of said team to not like their subordinates. It's not at all uncommon.
Take Giovanni and Jesse and James.
Yes, it happens quite often, turns out. So I don't think that this is like a gotcha moment of like, you don't do your research, you know, like nobody, like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Also, Mark Andrews made a good defense of me. It was like, Parker said apparently, or like said, like, you know, it seems like, or whatever.
Yeah, you're not like definitively,
like,
this is it. And I know the ending to this game.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it was interesting anyway. But yeah, it's still, as far as like the big bad, I do think, and I mentioned in the video too, that it's probably going to be something more with like Chairman Rose or something else that we don't know about, as opposed to it being specifically them as like the final thing. But obviously we're going to have to defeat Team Yell in some regard as well throughout the game.
They're 100% going to be the Team Skull of this game. There's no way that they're not.
Yeah. From what I know of Team Skull, that seems absolutely correct.
Team Skull is also, and the thing about Team Skull is like, there was kind of like layers in that sense too, where it's like you suggested and Benjamin suggested on Twitter, where he was like, maybe there's more than meets the eye or whatever, right?
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's possible, because Team Skull is like, there was like tiers there that's like, oh, okay, this person's more serious than these idiots. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, they're still not like this huge threat, you know? It's like there's a bigger threat. So I think that there might be some level of that.
Yep. I do wonder if Marnie, though, like, so say Bede is actually the rival that's like the big bad type rival in some context.
Like
and is
Silver from...
Right,
Jenkins.
and is part of like a bigger thing. So obviously, I really wonder how Hop's gonna play in as far as just like long term in the game.
100%, he's going to be.
So how does that pan out? Like end game, is he involved at all in the Pokemon Champ?
In like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, he eventually like becomes the champion or whatever. But mostly he's like the person that's there to be like, look how great you are, you stomped that dude.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's great, like having a friend kind of go alongside with you, as long as there's also an antagonist that's you know, like is a great matchup, having that kind of stuff.
I don't need a how, but like I tolerate them if there is the rival that like is actually trying to like challenge you.
Yeah, well, and also I think if there's actually the rival that's going to challenge you,
like I think that they're probably going to do another rival. So, I think so. I'm a psychic, my guy.
But like if they since they have the other rivals, I think they can probably, instead of having Hop play kind of like both parts of that, like being like, I'm gonna beat you, oh, I guess I'm not, kind of a thing. Like they can kind of lean fully into like, we're friends and we're just doing this together and seeing how good we can do, you know.
That's kind of what they've been doing recently, or not even recent, for the past freaking about this freaking cuss the past decade, being like, here's the bad guy rival, you know, like the one that is like mean to you and stuff, or not mean to you, but like the one that's like actually trying to win, and then the other one that is not trying to win. So yeah, it only makes sense that they would keep up with that trend.
But it would be cool if like sometime towards the end, if Bede and Chairman Rose are the main bads or whatever, if like Marnie teams up with you in some regard.
Bob called Bede, what did he call him?
I don't know. I didn't get that far in this episode.
He
of the
was like bidet or some crap.
Maybe
like
I did. Maybe that's what he called him. I don't remember.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Gilberto Caldera, recurring person. Hello. I don't know what sentence I just said. But in any case, goes on to say, for me at least, I'm disappointed with this game. Not going to lie. It looks like a good game, but the drawbacks were enough to make me not care for it.
Are the drawbacks the national decks? Is that what you're talking about?
So he commented a little bit more on his own comment. And so I responded to it as well. And then a couple other people talked in there. And so it sounds like, so obviously the Dex is a thing, but then also taking out some things like Z moves, mega evolutions and whatnot, which to some degree, do you think, is it possible that, no, I guess, I don't know. We haven't seen that mega evolutions specifically aren't going to be back, but probably they're not, because if they're only for the Gen 1 Pokemon, like, I don't know, it just wouldn't really make sense. Anyway, but
there's mega evolutions that aren't Gen 1 Pokemon.
Oh, you're right. I was just thinking of like I was mixing up Alolan and that stuff.
Oh, yeah, true.
That stuff. But yeah, I don't know. So
I think that that's mostly because like that makes everything convoluted, and it's like, what do you do? Do you use Megas or Alolan or the Gigamax
Or Dynamax,
the
yeah,
Dynamax
exactly.
or the like? There's too many mechanics like that, and they kind of shoot themselves in the foot by having to have that thing, you know, like the new one.
Yeah.
Because then it like they can't all stay.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing is that, like, I understand why people are disappointed about this specifically, that Dynamaxing, I think, will be as fun and cool or whatever, gameplay wise, hopefully, as Z moves, mega evolutions and that kind of stuff, where it's just like, it's an additional thing that you need to strategize when to use it if you want to, blah, blah. Like, it'll work in that sense, but it obviously, apparently for those that played it, it actually does feel pretty cool to like, oh, now it's huge or whatever. Like, maybe that's one of those things where in footage it won't really seem like that, but
Yeah,
in
I think Bob said
practicality,
something about it feeling cool.
yeah. But it is just a bigger
I
version
mean,
of the
it's a
Pokemon.
consolidation of the two ideas, especially Gigantamaxing or whatever.
Right. It just doesn't have the coolness factor, I guess, of like a new big old move or a new looking Pokemon, you know, in the same way like Digi-Evolutions and stuff like that, where it's like, you got extra spikes or whatever. So like Dynamaxing doesn't have the coolness factor in some regards, but we also kind of have to wait to see until we play it to see what that pans out like. But it's fine to not be
We
excited about
gotta
it.
wait all the way until November.
But the main point of the comment that I responded in any case was, I think they're definitely going to have at least one more like direct, that's not just these, you know, update trailers. And in that we'll learn about something else, you know, some other big reveal along the lines of, I guess Dynamaxing maybe wasn't that big of a deal for some people, but Dynamaxing or the wild area, like I think there's one more thing, if not more, that's like a pretty big deal. And that could be the thing that makes it seem cool, but we just don't know everything yet.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even know the starter evolutions yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have thought that would have been something that they revealed in this this new trailer, but apparently not.
Apparently not. And then
We don't
last
even know
comment.
the first form. That's crazy.
That's true. Last comment is from Willie Lane. Said, I really want Skyrim style gameplay and story. Like, I want to join Team Yell, and if I want to, and to be able to play through the game in that faction, I want to play in a Pokemon world, not just sit on rails through it.
Agreed. That'd
Yep.
be cool.
It would. I'd like more things to be dynamic and all that stuff. I mean, we've talked about that kind of stuff before, about like equivalent of Pokemon MMORPG, where you're like, have different roles and doing different things. Would be great.
Yeah.
But that's about it for my video on Pokemon and whatnot. More thoughts about that will obviously come up through time and in the future. But for now, we've got AJ's
we're
video
never
to
going to
talk
talk
about.
about Pokemon again. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't talk about Pokemon here.
Definitely not me. I'm not allowed to anymore.
True.
Just kidding. Here we go. AJ, you made a video.
I did.
You ready to hear what some people think about your video?
Sure.
Cool. Aronson says, I'm not into esports at all, yet it doesn't prevent me from to hardcorely casually play Smash or Fortnite as an example. And honestly, I don't want esports to interfere with the way I like to play my games. When my friends went to this side of the scene and we were constantly imposing me blah blah blah.
And this is the person, it's probably, English is probably their second language.
Cool. Totally fine. I just need to read better. Imposing competitive rules on me because they couldn't play it otherwise. It made me disgusted to play with them because it took out everything the game offers to be fun for me. And in the end, took out my friends to play with them. So long story short, they didn't play with their friends anymore because the competitive rule set stuff. So honestly, pushing this too much for what it means to be a party game bothers me, because nowadays, as a hardcore Nintendo fan, I have real difficulties finding people to play with non-esports rules on Smash, which I'd love to play for hours in all the variety other terrains that other than Smashville Battlefield or Final Destination or other basic stages.
I think that it's kind of like this weird thing that people have just in general of like, I want my thing to be like this, so you can't have your thing. I think that's a very strange way to go about getting
Like
the
this
thing that you
person's
want.
friends being like, it can only be the competitive Smash, like that
Or
sort of
just,
thing.
or how this person's responding to that, you know? Because like if they want to play competitively, like taking the competitive aspect of Smash Bros. Out of it's not going to make them want to play casually. That's just going to make them not want to play Smash as much.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So to be like, I don't want them to focus on that. It's more so just saying like, I don't want this game to appeal to them more than just me.
Right.
And I think that's ironically, because like I saw that sentiment in a couple of comments of being like, I think that like doing this will turn off people that are casual or whatever. I think doing the opposite turns off people that are more competitive. Like that's a big reason why like Melee is still like this vibrant thing,
Yeah.
you know, because like unbeknownst to them, they made a game that appeals really well to hardcore fans, you know?
Yeah.
So I just think it's antithetical to like have this whole game where it's like play how you want, you know, like literally have thousands of possibilities for how you play this game, and then people are like, I want to play in this way, and then we like people try to like demonize them for that, you know,
Right.
Where it's like, oh well, they put all these items in the game, blah blah. It's like, yeah, but they also put the option to turn those items off,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I think
So-
like the ability to create your own, because I like the fact that, I don't know, you still get online games with people with like items on and stuff like that when you specifically don't want that is, I don't know. It's really just a question
It's
of
so
like being
annoying.
able to play the way that you would like to be able to play it
Right.
in both directions is the ideal. So like it does make it harder when in this person's situation, if all of their friends want to play Smash competitive way or whatever, like then it's just a question of you and your friends, and like either you find some extra friends who like playing it the other way, or you talk to your friends and be like, hey, like I'll play with you competitive way sometimes, but like also can we just have some nights of like no clout, just have fun,
And that's that's what I basically suggested, because like
Yeah.
that's how I play the game, you know, like I play Smash Brothers and the whole like turn the items off, all that stuff, but like there are times and there like are friends and family members that are like, I'm not good at this game. You're too good at this game. So we need to turn items on because they're like an equalizer. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, like I don't have a problem with doing that because it is fun playing like that. But I also have a lot more fun when I'm able to like actually have like this battle of skill. And it's not like I don't feel like the game beat me rather than you beating me, or me beating you, or whatever. Right.
I mean, and that's like, you know, because playing the competitive rule set is both about like practice to some degree and also about like just showing the like, this is how good I am at the game. Like that's kind of the main two elements of it, and just having fun, you know, obviously.
Yeah.
But like if you're over your friend's house, it's not like I'm not going to just arbitrarily beat people at Jackbox Party Pack games. Like, I mean, or not arbitrarily, but like
that's the thing,
objectively, like
I
it's just a
think
party
that-
game to have fun.
I think even for casual players, it would benefit them a lot to learn the basics of the game on a competitive level. Because like even in casual matches, 9 times out of 10, even if casual rule sets are on, I'm probably still going to win.
Yeah,
you know?
right,
like,
exactly.
in
Because
these
items
scenarios and
don't
stuff like
solve
that.
every problem.
Right,
Like,
right. Because you're not always going to get the item that's going to cheese me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
like
I'll
it's
always be able to like forward air you to death. You know, like that whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I think even if you're a ccasual player, it makes a lot of sense to learn how to play the game rather than like depending on like Wolf Den has community game nights and stuff like that, and I'll jump in from time to time. And there's players that like, or one player in particular that I'm thinking of that is like, like he just tries to forward smash me the whole time and like do these like super strong attacks. I'm like, dude, if like word of advice, don't do that, because it's really easy for me to punish that. And he's like, yeah, but it works against casuals. And I'm like, yeah, but like that's not a good reason to do it.
right. Yeah.
Because like it working against somebody that doesn't know what they're doing is not it actually working.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So I think that's but as in terms of like you and your friends, it's a communication thing 100%.
Yeah.
And then as far as like,
Compromise.
but then as far as like actual Nintendo goes, it's an issue of them like just giving the options and letting that be the case most of the time, even if every once in a while.
Actually give the options,
Yep.
like if it was a game, if it was Mario Party, like no sane person is saying like make competitive Mario Party, right? Because that's just not what Mario Party is. But Smash Brothers is a game that you can tailor make to how you want to play it.
Yep.
Go all the way in that direction.
Yep.
Don't just tiptoe in it. Like, it's clear that Nintendo acknowledges the competitive side of Smash Brothers because they do sponsor these fully, competitive tournaments, and they hold their own.
Yep.
Even on the game. Like, there's vaguely competitive rule sets, where it's like no items, Omega stages, 1v1, like that whole thing. And then they cheese it by doing 2.5 minutes, like that dumb thing. But they're trying, they're acknowledging the fact that it's like, people want to play this game competitively.
That's
and
good. Yeah.
Minimize the cheese. So just go all the way. And even now, right? Like they have 2 tournaments that are up on the, if you go to the online tournament mode right now, there's the heroes versus villains tournament, and then there's the 1v1 2.5 minutes, no items, Omega stages. They could just always do that.
Exactly.
They did with the last game with For Fun and For Glory or whatever. Just do it now.
Yeah, man. And what else we're going to do now is read Benjamin Aquino's comment. Benjamin says, I totally agree with you on the ways that Nintendo can add to esports. Contributing financially seems like a no-brainer, but your second point in allowing the fan/audience to vote for who they think will win would be fantastic. I was never into Smash Bros. Until Smash 4. I'm sure that it is crazy to some, but it did not draw me in for one thing or another. 64 graphics, GameCube too fast, Wii too slow. I was, however, part of the hype train for Smash 4. I was at the edge of my seat when we got news revealed in Miiverse. Never thought that would come up again, huh? RIP. Because of all this newfound interest, I paid attention to every Smash-related news and eventually tuned into the invitationals Nintendo hosted, which exposed me to Zero and other professional players. All this helped me appreciate this game in a competitive sense and less so a party game. Of course, I'm not great at the game, but I have taken the advice of pro players, controller setup, rule set, etc., to improve. And I even find myself caring about the balance patch notes. So if this could happen to someone like me, I know it can do the same for others. Cycling back, if Nintendo would allow us to interact with the tournament/professional players to some degree, I think this would really push Nintendo esports to new heights.
Yeah, agreed. I'm the same way, where I always gravitated to turning items off and doing that sort of thing, most times anyway. I've always played Smash, I've always been into Smash, but not in the same way where I'm following competitive play. That's a new development completely. I knew who Zero was with the last game, and that's it. But this game, I'm I can name 12 competitive players off the top of my head right now, and that wasn't a thing that happened before, so it definitely became more of an interest to me now, and I think a lot of that is because I've always liked the game, and now there's a character that I really like. Because going back with all the Smash Brothers games, there's never really been a character that's this is my character and this is who I'm picking. But now if you see me talking about or playing Smash Brothers, you know who I'm picking. You know exactly who I'm going to use. Because Pokemon Trainer was in Brawl, but they were garbage. But now they're actually a good character that has a game plan that makes sense. Because before it was this whole stupid thing of doubling down into the gimmick and not making it competitive in a sense. Where the whole thing is it's just straight up Pokemon. Your Pokemon get tired if you use them too long until they die, and then you got to switch out, and then switching out takes forever. So you have to find space for you to go from one Pokemon to another one. But now they're this gameplay loop of you can switch, and it's part of your strategy where you can use that switch to dodge attacks and do all that crap. And, that whole thing just made me more interested. It's to the point where before I found a lot of enjoyment cycling through different characters and using them and stuff like that. And I guess on some level, Pokemon Trainer is still like that because it's 3 characters, so it's hard to get bored of one.
Yeah, that's true.
That shifted my focus to being I just like this because it has a lot of characters that I like, and to it being I like this because it has this one character that I like a lot.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And then another comment from a name we won't read. I don't know what it was, but here we go. I think Nintendo's not against esports. They just don't think it's their place to advertise/endorse them. They just make games for fans to enjoy. And if enjoy it in tournaments, that's great. Let them go wild. But Nintendo seems to just want to make fun games for people to play and not tell them how to play it.
Yeah, I responded to this, but the gist of my response was like, I don't agree with that because like them, quote unquote, not telling people how to play it is in essence telling them how to play it. You know, if they're saying like items on, you know, like Smash Ball, crazy stages, play however you want, you know, like that's telling people how to play it. That's telling them that they need to play on these stages with these items and stuff like that, rather than like adhering to what the competitive scene wants, right? Because casual players are not the ones that are competing at Evo, you know, like they're not the ones that are
watching those things for the most part or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So like making these rule sets for them makes sense at these invitationals for Smash Brothers at E3 when a new game comes out, but on the whole, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Even for like the tournaments that they do from time to time, like now they're doing a tournament, online tournament or whatever. It doesn't make sense to make that a casual rule set if it's a real like competitive, because these players are going to get destroyed anyway. Yeah. So you might as well like tailor it to the players that are actually going to want to compete in this, and they're training to compete in this tournament and doing all that crap.
Yeah, I think Nintendo's, to me, does feel pretty notorious for telling people how to play in certain regards where like
like look at Splatoon.
Splatoon with Splatfest and stuff like that, or other contexts as well. The other ones I was thinking of, Mario Party not having online, like that's one of those things. Like they could, I'm sure it would have taken some extra resources, but they could have, without too much difficulty, just put it in there and be like, people want it, like play with your friends. Probably even if you turn on just play with your friends and don't play with random people, like just, you know, you can have that to just have the option. Or like Animal Crossing not having save backup, like maybe there's more reasons for that, for it not being on this, on the cloud with cloud saves and all that. But the whole reason is like so that people don't, you know, the reset-y kind of thing, so people don't switch time. That seems to be the reason, at least at this point. But like, if people want to do that, it's a single player game. Like, who cares? Just let them do that, and then whatever. You know, like people also, there's a YouTuber that does a whole bunch of Stardew Valley stuff for the most part, and it'll go through, and it's like, to do his videos, pretty much like hacks it, or you know, does mods of it every single time, and like cheats it so that he can see like, what would happen if we dated all of the people in town? You know, like things that would take way too long to do in reality, but then you can do that way. Like, I don't know, all that stuff. Just Nintendo, for the most part, is kind of particular.
Yeah, and it's on the other end. Like it's the side that you would think is like because that's how most people are. You would think that alienating the casual side is like the only way to alienate anybody, because again, that's most people. But I think you're still alienating somebody if you're like competitive side. You don't matter, you know. Like the casual side, like I said in the video, like they're already tailored to. Like just by the fact that Smash exists and it's this game that when everybody thinks of this game, except for these players, they already think of it like it's this casual, like, you know, like this chaotic casual game where it's like turn items on, crazy stages, crazy characters, like Dragon Quest Hero, he fits right in, you know, that makes sense. Smash Bros is random, you know, but it's the competitive players that have a different mindset. And I think, like bringing light to the fact that that other mindset exists for people that don't know that, and people that would want to play Smash Brothers like that, but they don't know that they can. Yeah, right. Makes a lot of sense. You know, like that being brought to the forefront does not erase the fact that you can still play Smash Brothers in the casual way.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the other point of the comment is pretty much right. As far as like, it's not that Nintendo's against esports. They just, it says they don't think it's their place to advertise, endorse them. I don't know if it's that so much as they just don't want to or whatever. Yeah,
and it's definitely not something that they don't think is their place. They think it's their place. It's just they think it's their place to change the context of esports. They think that they can say, oh, yeah, well, I mean, they can. But they think that it's like, well, we'll do esports, but we'll do our esports. Our esports are casual, you know, like which is just, which, I mean,
is that's their MO for so many things. Like we'll do online, but we'll do online like this, and it's like, okay, but you could have taken a couple more cues, right? Honestly,
and it's just like you can do both, right? Like,
exactly.
I think that it's just like in this context, like you get a lot more people playing your game more often if you do have an esports league for Smash Brothers that is competitive. Because I play Smash Brothers every week at least once. When's the last time you played Smash Brothers?
Yep. Sure was.
Exactly. And that's how casual, like that's how the like divide happens, right? Because it's like for the most part, casual people are like, yeah, I got friends over. You know, it's a good game to play with 4 to 8 friends, Smash Brothers. But me, I'm like, you know, it's a good game to play at any time ever with anyone, Smash Brothers.
Honestly, 90% probably of my time in Smash Bros was maybe not 90, but like 75 was World of Light stuff. Like not because it was like the best thing ever, but because it was like, I want to play Smash Brothers, but like just as a person, I just don't love. I'm not competitive, so like the online stuff. I haven't talked about this in a while, but yeah, just the online stuff just doesn't really appeal to me all that much. And like at my level, especially, it's going to be a lot of bad connections and all that stuff. So it's just not as interesting to me because I just don't really care. But like single player things, like I love unlocking things and all that. Like that's just a whole lot of fun. So that was where I got all my enjoyment out of it. But yeah, now that I did that, like pretty much, it's just reserved for, I have friends over and we're going to play Smash, which I don't even remember the last time that specifically happened because I don't have any friends. That's not true. But yeah, all that stuff. Good stuff.
That's just how it happens, man.
That's how the things go. Gene Goff Morales says, where's my Mario Party Pro League?
That's all I'm saying.
That's it. I mean,
that's
hit the nail on the head right there.
Video is about, you know. It's all we've been asking for.
Mario Party Pro League video number 38. Here we go. And then last comment, Retrofaction says, let's talk about Pokken. How fantastic it is, yet few people play it.
Pokken is dope, but again, this was another one that I replied to. And I think that the problem with Pokken is that it's not enough characters, which is weird to say because there's a lot of characters for Pokemon, like for a fighting game, but for a Pokemon game, not enough.
Were they all unlocked at the beginning in the original release on Wii U?
No.
Okay, because I think in this version they were. Maybe you had to unlock them. I think honestly the problem for
you had
that
to
game,
unlock one character. I think you had to unlock like Shadow Mewtwo or whatever.
That sounds about right. I think that's the problem. Honestly, that was my thing with. I didn't play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe nearly as much as I've played a lot of other Mario Karts because we've talked about this before. But because stuff was already unlocked. So like as a single player person, if you don't care about the competitive side, I don't think Pokken has. It's a fantastically built game, but it doesn't have really much of the casual side of it. It's like you go online. So like Mitch, who's he bought Pokken, and that's like one of his biggest gaming purchase regrets on Switch because he was like, I played it for like probably 10 hours just playing people online, but like everybody was just so much better than me, and or not. I think he also got to be decent, but it had such a competitive focus that like as just somebody who wanted content to play in a Pokemon fighting game world that just it didn't really work for anybody casual or semi-casual. It's pretty much all or nothing from where I stand in any case.
Yeah. To be fair, even for competitive players, it wasn't like the smartest thing because like how the ranking worked was dumb and like there's a lot of problems with Pokken. But like I like it in theory, and I like playing it. It's a fun game, but I think it fell off for me mostly because like, well, for one, like I said, the ranking system's dumb, so I don't have the whole thing that I had with Smash Brothers, where it was like, yo, my motivation to play this is to be an Elite Smash and to like get my GSP high or whatever. That wasn't really there because like you can cheese the crap out of it. Like you can literally just quit and not lose rank at the game. You don't get punished in Pokken. So, like, that made me not care about the game, in addition to the fact that I don't have any other friends that are like, yeah, Pokken. And I think that is because that they didn't have any Pokemon in the game that they're like, yeah, that's my guy. That's who I want, whereas I have Charizard. And Charizard is going to be in every game ever. Right. So, like, I'm never in that situation where I'm like, man, my guy's not in it in this Pokemon game. So, yeah, rip.
100%.
Maybe Pokken 2.
Maybe. Yeah, I wonder.
All 700, 800, 1,000 Pokemon into the game.
Yeah, honestly, I'm curious. I'd like to see the actual count after this gen, plus all the like Galarian forms and Alolan forms and all that.
They
what
said
our
it was
actual
over
count.
1,000.
Yeah.
So I bet it's going to be like 1,012.
Probably. But now it's time for the community section of this. So this is where we go into last week's video and take a look at some of the comments from there, and then also answer your Q&As that you can ask on Twitter and Discord and YouTube community.
Not your Q&As, your Q's and our A's.
That's true. We'll give you your questions and also your own answers right back to you. Just there you go. We did it. So first off, from last week's comments, Oreo, spelled different than the cookie, said, I think Nintendo should do a higher tier of Switch Online that costs more, but gives us trials and a free game per month. Some of those being first-party games, but more being third-party.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, especially with the third-party stuff, like as first-party, you'd run out kind of quickly. I mean, there's a lot of first party games, but as far as like, you wouldn't want to put all your evergreen ones on there, in the, like they're not going to put Breath of the Wild on there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it would really only help with, like, I could see them doing it for indies, if anything.
I would agree with that.
Like,
honestly,
first party
like
stuff
Twitch
doesn't
Prime
really make
does.
sense. What?
Like Twitch Prime, I feel like is a good where like SteamWorld Dig 2 was on there, and like so there were some good games, but it's indie games, so it's like you could also just easily get those for $20. Sorry, go on. I interrupted you.
Yeah, how dare you? I'm angry. But no, like it just. They don't have to do that with their games because people are going to buy. People are going to complain. It goes with the same thing about like Nintendo games not going on sale, and it's like they don't go on sale because they don't need to. Yeah, like companies don't put games on sale because they want to be your pal. Yeah, they put them on there because it's like, oh, our sales projections are not lining up with our actual sales, so gotta chop off a couple dollars on that thing. But I think Nintendo's like, we just sold another 100,000 copies of a Wii game. Moving on.
Yep. I think the trials thing, though, I mean, I think a higher tier system would be neat as far as like if it had more content in it that was justified, then that would be cool. And like more game trials, demos, whatever.
I think the trials is just a win-win because it's like if you do that right and you if they did that with every Nintendo game and did a trial thing for the like Switch Online premium members or whatever, right? They could they're making money regardless because like there's no guarantee that people are going to like want to play Mario Tennis and buy Mario Tennis, right? But like even if they never even download it, they still made more money than they would have made off of the Switch Online subscriber if they weren't the premium member that had the chance to play this trial or whatever. Yep. But in the case that they do like the game, then they sell the game, albeit for a lower price than they would have sold it anyway. But then they also get the premium membership money. And it's the same thing as like with subscription services, and why most of them work is because people like me are like, yeah, I'll get Netflix. I'm not going to touch it, but I'll have it.
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
Exactly.
And that's what's going to happen with stuff like this. It's like, yeah, I'll get this premium membership thing. I might not buy every game that they put on this trial, but the peace of mind that I can if I want to is why I'm paying for it.
Yeah. I think the tricky thing with some of these is that like, so Japan got Captain Toad when we got Mario Tennis, which is now actually, but you've got it for a week. Somebody else mentioned this too. Maybe it was Game Explain or something, but I thought the same thing. We were like, you've got Captain Toad for a whole week. You just beat Captain Toad in that week if you really wanted to.
Captain Toad is a dumb one to put on there.
It's on online type games like Mario Maker makes a lot of sense. I mean, any of the online games that they make sense. So that's just do those. So
you know what you do? You know what you do for Mario Maker? The week after that, and you announce it before this, but you're like, yeah, we're going to do a event or whatever, where you got to make this kind of stage and you enter your stage, like some type of in-game event, so it makes people want to buy it after the fact.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But you can't do that with Captain Toad. I guess like because Captain Toad does have like a local multiplayer component or whatever, but like, who's really buying Captain Toad just for that?
Who's to say?
Hashtag product provided by Nintendo twice.
True. Next up, John Francis says, I hope new people feel the same. Feels weird to hear my name on a vid by quote unquote big people. We're 17 feet tall. So there you go. I just thought this was funny.
That's cool. I think that was really the goal, where I wanted people to feel included because they are. That's why I'm making the video, because I want you to talk back to me.
Just like you do.
Yeah.
There you go. Very straightforward.
Mission accomplished. Glad you like it. John Francis.
Indeed. Just say it all the time. All right. And then this next comment, Griffinick says, I can't believe my ears. AJ into nerd stuff like Fire Emblem. Go on and embrace your inner weeaboo.
I don't know if I'm into Fire Emblem. Like, I don't know if I would describe it like that. This one specifically I like, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen again. Because, like, I've played Fire Emblem played Fire Emblem games in the past for short amount of times and been like, this is cool. No, it's not. And then I would just stop playing. This is the first time that I got anywhere close to finishing it. So I don't know if this would be a prolonged thing. But I like some weeb stuff.
Nice.
So
next up, Lizdrin says, because last week he'd asked, what's the worst Pokemon game? And he says, okay. Worst Pokemon game. Of course, the first ones are the worst. I posed the question wrong. Let's say they were all remade this year. They all have the same graphics. They all have the same mechanics. Which region holds up the worst?
Gen 4. I don't like Gen 4's pacing is garbage. It's so bad. And I'm replaying that now, and that's mostly the reason why I'm not done with it already. Because, like, I started replaying that with my brother, like, months ago, and we just stopped. Because, again, the pacing's trash. So it's like, yeah, Gen 4. Plus, I don't like those Pokemon as much. Like, they went in the whole, like, kaiju situation, and I don't really like that design philosophy behind it.
Yep. Seven says, I've been thinking about this whole amazing graphics and X system is superior to Y stuff a lot lately, and I've come to realize something. There are games that look visually impressive and have super lavish animations or whatever, and that's cool and all, but at least in my experience, they more often than not are a novelty that wears off very quickly. For example, I have a PS4 Pro, and when I first got it, I was so blown away by 4K HDR, and even though I bought a compatible TV to get the most out of it. But the games that stick with me are not necessarily the prettiest. Not saying that pretty games can't touch you on some level as well, or are excluded from this, of course, but rather the ones with a deeply engaging storyline, likable and well-written characters, and above all, gameplay. That last part especially has me realize how stupid the whole graphics race is. Again, speaking from my own experience, I've been grinding the same monster in Monster Hunter World this month for a trophy, and now that I've seen the monster, its animations and the area about a million times, although I find them incredibly beautiful the first time, what's kept me there is the drive for that loot, and I'm really not really noticing the visuals anymore. Similarly, I'd rather play Pokemon Let's Go Eevee than Horizon Zero Dawn, because even though the latter is the technically superior game, I just care more about the creatures that I've caught and made fight for my amusement. Again, if visuals are a big selling point for you, then that's awesome, and that gives you enjoyment. But for me, I just think people should stop judging a game, console, and especially other people who enjoy that game or console based on numbers and specs, and just be happy enjoying the games they play and letting others be happy too. We can't really tell developers where to put their games because they have other financial did I read that right? Yeah, we can't, because they have other financial reasons for doing what they do, and often focus test the hell out of their products. The focus groups mostly consisting of existing customers who have their own biases already. But we can control how we act and try to be nice and respect other people's choices.
Agreed. And I have the same experience where it's like I have all these consoles, and like I got the like super HD ones and like, cool, radical, dude. But it always is that thing of like, and me and Logan talked about this in the past in videos and podcasts and all that stuff of like where we have distinct moments where it'll be the first time we play a game, first time we see a game in a trailer. Man, this game looks great, right? And then you buy the game and you play the game for the first time. Man, this game looks great. and then you stop noticing it for 4 months, and then you look at the game again. You're like, man, this game looks great, you know. But you're not actively always thinking like, this is a good looking game. At some point, it just becomes status quo, and it's like, this game looks however it looks. And I think that that's a lot of the reason why, like, for a long time, people are like, man, you could see the beads of sweat coming off of the guy on 2K14, and now people see 2K14 and like, this looks like trash. You know, like, it's just like, it's not the reason that I think you should be into games. Just because it's so temporary, you know? Like, that's a goalpost that will never stop moving.
Absolutely. That's why I was glad-ish that I saw Avatar in theaters in 3D one time. And I never cared about seeing it again. Because, like, as a movie, it just was, I don't care. Like, really, like, it looked great, and it was really cool to see all that stuff and like all the scenery, blah blah, like looked really cool. But as far as like actual content or whatever, it was like, all right, there we go. That was a movie with a plot. But then meanwhile, I've seen Zoolander about 1 million times, or like, you know, probably maybe some other artsy movie that's better or something like that. But like, Zoolander's so funny, it's great. But like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like I've seen that movie, also looks great, but isn't, you know, anything in the same like just amazing crazy things or whatever. There's probably better examples that contrast, but I totally agree with literally everything that was said there.
Yeah.
So that's it for the comments.
Never saw Avatar ever in my life.
Once now, there's not theaters.
Probably
doesn't
not.
matter.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably
No.
won't.
I mean, they're making a bunch of new ones, so whatever. Maybe
Probably
those will be.
Won't see those
better.
either. You know.
I would not blame you at all. Yeah, it was fine. It was just, somebody told me before I saw the movie too, they were like, honestly, it's just the story of Pocahontas. And maybe I would have enjoyed it more if that person hadn't told me that. But because they told me that, the whole time I was like, oh yeah, that's like that in Pocahontas. Oh yeah, that's like that in Pocahontas. Oh yeah, that's just that from Pocahontas. Or like, there's a couple other movies. Fern
It's just
Gully is
hard
another
to get
one.
me to
where it's
go
like,
see movies, you know?
Yeah.
It always has to be something that I already care about, and that's hard for something that is a new thing.
what if they put Spider-Man in Avatar?
I probably would have saw it. The Spider-Man was an Avatar. But
Easy
I
enough.
mean, that's pretty much it, you know? Like, as far as, like, the movies that I've seen in theaters, they all either have Spider-Man or Pokemon. Or Star Wars. I saw the last couple Star Wars movies in theaters. I didn't see Solo, though. But the rest of them I saw in theaters.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was good. I am excited
I
about
saw, like,
episode 9.
half of it on digital, and then I was like, I don't feel like watching this. I don't really feel like watching this. I'm really watching it because people said I should, and I don't really want to.
Yep.
So I didn't.
Indeed. So that's it from comments from last week's video. There were some other comments, but those were the ones that we pulled for this time. And then we also asked you on YouTube community if you had any questions. And Mark Andrews, who always asks on YouTube community, so we appreciate you, Mark, says, Morpeko is my spirit animal. I flick between full belly mode and hangry mode numerous times a day. Do you have a Pokemon spirit animal?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I like that question.
Yeah. I would have to think a bit about this one. I think. Man. I'll let you keep thinking and I'll read the rest of it so that there's not just a bunch of dead air.
I think it's easier for me to, like, if we did each other's. I think that's the easier way for it to be accurate.
Interesting. Okay. What do you think mine is in that case?
I think yours is like one of Pokemon are just like, you know, like, are just cool with everything and they're just like go with the flow, like, yeah, man, you know, like that sort of thing. There's a couple of Pokemon, but the like first one that came to my mind is like Slow King, how he's just like he has everything, like he's like super smart and all that stuff, but he's just like there and just like cool with everything, you know.
Nice.
You kind of do that. You're like, yeah, man, I'm just here to have fun.
There you go. I think the one that came to mind for you is Ash's Charmeleon while he's a Charmeleon. Not Charizard. Like, that's a little much, but like, he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll do what you want me to do. Like, if it's a good thing to do, but like, otherwise, like, I'm probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, and has an attitude about it. So that's my thought. Also, 100% continuity errors in season 1 when Ash has like evolved as Charmander and Charmeleon, and then literally the next episode, it's them in the snow where like his Charmander has to like heat them all up or whatever. I'm like,
It's like, what?
guys, come on. You did it wrong.
It's a flashback, man. It's a flashback episode.
Sure, yeah, we'll go with that. Continuing on with Mark's comment, and I honestly think Sword and Shield are lining up to be great games with more replayability for those big fans that couldn't care less about the competitive scene. A lot of post-game stuff over the years seemed to be aimed at that scene, and it just never really interested me. Shiny hunting will be much more fun for me because of the wild area. I've played since Gen 1, but Let's Go were the first games I actively shiny hunted in because seeing them in the overworld was so cool. And max raid battles will be a reason to keep coming back once we've completed the game for unique Pokemon to be able to Gigantamax. Cheers.
I agree. And that's why I've had like the reverse response to this game that everybody else has had with this game. Or like, you know, like the vocal minority or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's like when it was first announced, they're like, oh man, this has promise. It's not Pokemon Let's Go. That's great. Random encounters are back. That's awesome. And I was bummed out by that. I was like, oh, yeah, random encounters are gone. I mean, they're back. I hate this. And then like the more and more that they say about this game, I'm like, yes, I'm down for this. I'm not like, I'm indifferent about the whole national dex thing. Cause same. If anything, I'm more on the positive side because I don't want to go through all that crap again. You know, like I'm not sitting there and I don't even want to transfer everybody. That's doing too much. I'm just going to transfer the ones I want to use.
If we magically found out that everybody's favorites was in there and so, like say, you know, I mean, yes, like every Pokemon is somebody's favorite, but let's just say there were 200 of them.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
Like maybe there were 200 that generally like aren't in anybody's top 20%, you know?
Find me one person that's favorite Pokemon is Puku-Yuku.
Right. So like if we found out that that was the case, that they legitimately were taking out the ones like everybody's favorite Pokemon, everybody's top 20 Pokemon were in this game, would people really care anymore? Like,
yes,
no,
because it's the internet and they wouldn't be mad about
for
stuff.
the reason, which is frustrating and dumb. But nevertheless, yeah, I definitely agree with the shiny hunting thing. Like that was a lot of fun in
it's Puku-Buku. That's the Pokemon's name.
Yeah. So all the things you said, Mark, I'm right there with you. It's because the post-game stuff being competitive things is a lot less fun for everybody else who doesn't care about competitive things. So having it be the wild area, honestly, all in all, just seems fun. Because post-game stuff in Let's Go was honestly lots of fun too. So
yeah.
So I think. But it was also kind of like create your own adventure post-game stuff where like there wasn't that. I mean, master trainers, that's a thing. Like,
yeah, but
right.
You know what I mean?
Nevertheless. Edwin Valenzuela says, do you really think the revised Switch or Switch version 2 has a brighter screen and improves frame rate and resolution? I feel like I noticed Rocket League ran way better when playing 4v4 Chaos in handheld on this new Switch.
No. I think a lot of that can be explained by it being a new Switch, you know, like not in the sense that it's more powerful, but just because it was manufactured a month ago, you know, like that sort of thing. Like you can, like a lot of people were like, oh, but like Kevin Kenton, I think, did a video, and then they're like, yeah, but like he bought 2 new Switches. One was the old model and one was the new model. Yeah, but that old Switch was still manufactured before the new one. You know, so it's still aged more than the new one. And I think a lot of people are like ascribing like new features and different things to this thing just because they want to like give more purpose to it, you know, like, oh yeah, I bought this thing for the battery life, but I also want to feel special because it has more cool things. And I think a lot of that flame is stoked by YouTubers trying to like juice all the value out of it, you know, get every single little view, everybody make it. And I have like this ongoing dialogue, as I do with most things in this world, with Bob, of being like, hey, this is here's another video that's stupid, you know, or it's like I'm just sending him a video like, here's another one that is like freaking people being like, is this new thing something that's with the new Switch? No. the battery's just better. You know, like there's many 5 to 10 minute long videos of people being like, hey, is this thing that Nintendo didn't say was part of the new Switch No. You know, like, did it really take you 10 minutes to say that? You know, like
10 minutes and 3 seconds.
It's so stupid and I hate it. And it was like, it's annoying. It's so annoying.
Yeah. I will say, though, I mean, especially based on, because I hadn't specifically heard this before, but assuming Bob's right, and he's got to be right sometimes, you know. So,
does he though?
In the Wolf Den, he was talking about how processors are, you know, like it's a thumbprint kind of thing where they're just not all the same. Like some of them, you could build 2 of the same exact processor that like is listed as the same thing as a product, but one of them just happens to be a little bit better than the other, just because that's just how it turns out. You know, like in the same way that every time you make a cake, it's not the exact same cake. Like it's just sometimes it's going to turn out a little bit taller or different or fluffy or whatever.
Sometimes there's going to be air bubbles in places there weren't before. And like,
exactly. So yeah, it's possible that Edwin
also it's the thing of like
maybe
comparing unstable frame rates to other unstable frame rates, you're going to get unstable performance in different ways because that's the definition of unstable. You know?
Yeah. I really think
so I think people are mostly just grasping at straws here.
There could be things that are happenstance. So like, I mean, again, if it's a question of just like randomly that processor and that Switch happens to be better, then that's awesome. And I'm very glad that you got a better one. But I think really with the new CPU, all they were trying to do, like if it's a seesaw of like, we could give it a little bit more power and a little bit more battery life or whatever, like they just put 100% of it straight to just like, we're putting it to battery life so that we don't have to even talk about all the other stuff. Just like the CPU is only going to try to get us more battery life and maybe be cheaper to manufacture for one reason or another and less hackable. Like, that's probably, I think that's all as far as the intent goes.
There's some, I think it was Game Explain. They ran a test on their new Switch and they're like, did this get better performance? And the old Switch got better performance.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's 100% like that is not the reason to get this thing. It's just the battery. That's why you should get a new Switch, is if you want a longer battery life, or if you got your regular Switch and there's like even a few things that you don't like enough to get a new Switch, like your kickstand is getting on your nerves and you want a new, more sturdy kickstand, go buy that because that one's not going to be as loose. It's still going to be honestly, a garbage kickstand, but it's not going to be as loose because it's
those are the exact kind of things that are the reasons that is like battery life is like 75% of it, but then also like, my fan I think is a little dislodged or something, so it gets really loud sometimes, like random little things like that where it's like, if I could just have that one, my old one, just be the docked one that is for when people come over or for Ashley to use whenever she wants to use it because it would be hers now, and like that sounds perfect. But as far as I'm not expecting it to be miraculously a whole lot better. So questions from Twitter. 3D Duncan XL asks, "What's a Pokemon?"
I don't know, man.
So good, such a true
That's
question.
That's a deep question.
We're about to find out what a Pokemon is when
we all Pokemon. Are you a Pokemon?
I mean, if like some of those human-looking Pokemon are Pokemon, like I don't know,
what, like Machoke?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. He's probably about the closest there is. Jinx, maybe, I don't know. Max, right, our good buddy, says, "Come up with
yourself." He unfollowed me on Twitter, and then he tried to say he didn't do it, but you saw the proof. He said he was doing it. And everybody knows that if you tweet something, it's fact.
It's exactly because you can't edit it. So
exactly,
that's the one.
True. So
Max says, "Come up with 2 Galarian forms each. They have to fit the British theme, and I will be judging."
How dare you?
Because Max is British. So we try to do this right before the podcast. We thought about it on our own. So we haven't heard each other's, but we each have 2.
Who's doing it first? Me, because that's how the alphabet works. I'm going first.
Really?
Because M is before D. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're so right. Wow.
That was like a whole thing. Slight tangent, because I don't want to give Max what he wants right away. I want to make him wait for it. My mom was like, I'm naming both my kids with A because, like, back when she was a kid, that's how they did the, like, you know, like, call the kids.
Oh, by first name?
Yeah.
And 100% it was by last name when I was a kid.
Exactly. And now it's last name, so that didn't matter, you know?
Yep. That's so true.
Rip, dude. But yeah, I thought two different ones. One is more of a joke, and another one is like, that'd be cool. And these are both Pokemon that I wanted to get Alolan forms, but Pokemon Company was like, no, stupid.
Yep.
I want them to do a Flygon that's like more like a Wyvern. That's a European thing. That'd be cool.
100%. Very cool.
But yeah, that'd be cool. And then make them instead of ground and dragon, make them fire and dragon, so he doesn't get wrecked by ice types.
Yeah. Cool. My first one is a shaman that's even like more like a traditional hedgehog. Because it's like, it's like, I don't actually know. What type is it right now? Like normal and grass or just grass?
It's grass, and then they had the grass and flying one.
Gotcha.
He might be normally
That's a
grass.
different form. So in this case, just make him
Or grass and
ground,
normal,
maybe just ground type. And the reason I say that, so my grandparents lived in the UK for about 20 years or so. And one of the places where they lived, I think they were in Worcester at this point. While they were there, they had a hedgehog that was pretty much like their pet, like in the same way that you'll have like stray cats just come up to your house and be like, oh, you put out food for them or whatever. They had a hedgehog that they would put out food for this hedgehog that would like come up to their house, and they didn't like get to pet it or anything because it wouldn't, do that. But they like built a little house for it out the back. So I don't honestly know how common hedgehogs are in the UK, but like at least enough for that to be a thing. So I think they're more common. At least I've never seen a hedgehog in the wild in the US. Like,
same. I don't think I've ever seen a hedgehog in the real life ever.
Oh,
so
there's a pet
as
store
far as
near
I
my house.
know, they're just actually what Sonic looks like.
You're so right. So that's what I think. A shaman, a ground type that's more like a standard hedgehog.
Yeah.
What's your second one?
My second one is Arcanine, but like instead of like the cool like dog tiger hair stuff, he needs to have like a judge wig. That's what I want.
That's kind of similar to mine, honestly.
And then I went the Galarian Growlithe. I want him to be like one of the police people with the black hat things.
That was another thing I was thinking. Oh man, okay, we've got two similar things. I couldn't think of what Pokemon should have that should like be the Royal Guard kind of thing with the really tall hats. But somebody 100%, probably a more like what's the fighting type guy that I don't know. He's blue and he's like a judo Pokemon. Yes. But that, like, I don't know, he fits the form already. So like just, give him one of those big old hair hats and things. That would be awesome. My actual other one was, I didn't specify this very well, but Snubble, but more British.
What?
I don't know. Like he already seems very like, he, kind of prim and proper, but like, or froofy or whatever, while being grumpy, but just something I didn't think it through much because we needed to start recording, but Snubble, but more British. So whether that's with probably like one of those big lawyer type wigs from the olden days was my thoughts. So there you go. Max, I hope those have pleased you. I also I thought about something like Big Ben.
You.
Yeah.
I
thought about something Big Ben related. Like, I don't know if like a Big Ben Rotom or whatever, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. So moving along, Tori Robinson asks, number one, what is your single greatest fear for the new Pokemon games?
That you can't do multi-battles online. Because I want to do team battles with Bob on stream.
Nice. I think for me that it's like more linear than it seems like it's going to be right now.
Also
that it's
true.
Yeah, like I just want it to be, it seems like they're making it more and more kind of open and that kind of thing, especially after Game Explain's last analysis, how they were like, seems like depending on if you go east or west, you'll get a different rival first, blah, 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 or something like that maybe. Those kinds of things, like if it turns out it's like just super hand-holdy, linear, as far as story stuff goes, that's my greatest fear. we'll say. Number 2, if you could bring 6 Pokemon from previous gen, one team, what would they be? Oh my goodness, this is a big question.
Charizard, Heracross, Sceptile. There's not a lot of Gen 4 Pokemon I like. Empoleon, I guess. Gen 5.
I don't know if this is specifically asking one from each, because it didn't specifically say that. But if you wanted to do that, which you are doing,
I was doing the hard mode.
Yeah, I was going to do the easy one because
All right,
I'm kind of hungry.
Snorlax and freaking. I already said a word type. Did I not? I don't think I said a word type. Oh yeah, I did Empoleon. So I can't say Greninja. Rip Greninja.
See you later, bro.
Goodra. That's my team.
Okay, there you go. My team. I'm just gonna go fast through it. Here we go. Squirtle, Wartortle, Blastoise.
Oh my
Second
gosh.
Squirtle, another Wartortle, another Blastoise. Moving along. Number 3. I feel like the news stream is a very slow trickle compared to other Pokemon releases. Do you agree? And if so, why do you think that is?
No. Because what they usually do is they're like, hey, here's this. It's almost beat for beat what they usually do, honestly.
Seems like it, yeah.
We're like, hey, it's February or whatever. We're making a new Pokemon game. See you again in May. And then in May, they're like, hey, here's the Pokemon game and here's some stuff about it. Here's your starter or whatever. And then a month after that, they're like, hey, here's some new stuff. Here's some more crap. And then a month after that, they're like, oh, here's some more stuff. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, here's a little more. And then a week after that, there's more. And then a week after that, and then, and then like, it's like it's like snowball going down the hill, snowballs and all that crap. So yeah, no, this seems on par.
I agree. Bianca asks, who is the best waifu in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and why is it Marnie?
They're all 12 except for Sonya. She's not 12.
True.
So her.
Wait, is Sonya the redhead one?
Yeah.
Cool. We'll go with that.
She's not 12.
Or Marnie. I don't know. Maybe she's 24.
She's 12.
That is always, man, that's definitely a thing. Like, I kind of wish kids could play a game where they're 16 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
16's not.
No, I know, but like not even like waifu related, but just being more grown up. Like that's a thing. Like Link is what, 18 or 19 supposed to be in Breath of the Wild, like, which still seems young, but also older than that seems wrong as well. So like he just seems like he's in some weird chamber of age. Harry Hoffert says, with the inevitable fall Nintendo Direct approaching, what franchise do you think might return in 2020? Man, so many like big questions, and I like it, but okay. I think Pikmin honestly has a good shot.
What do we mean by return? Because I
would say just one that hasn't shown up on the Switch yet. So even if it was, I would say, yeah. Yeah, that's what I would think.
Wait, what videos have I made so far? For them to be like,
Ice Climbers.
Make this
They're
one.
coming back.
Yeah, do Ice Climbers, man. No, Kid Icarus. Give us a good Kid Icarus Uprising.
Yep. I think Star Fox,
Rip, dude.
Timing wise, seems realistic.
Rip, dude.
Probably. Man, I don't know. We'll keep thinking about that as time goes on. That one might need a little bit more thought, because I mean we could just throw a bunch out, but also like Metroid's going to come back on the Switch and all these other things, but like that doesn't necessarily mean they're well thought through and reasonable and realistic. So in any case, Mayo Manager says, do you think we're going to get post-launch free DLC in Mario Maker 2? And if so, what? Absolutely. Yes. New mode is my guess. Or not mode, but like, game style.
I think that if it's anything like the last game, we'll definitely get the last more game styles, because otherwise it's like, why did they name it that?
Right, exactly.
But I think that we'll get more content updates in the same way that we did before. Obviously we won't get like more mystery mushrooms or whatever, But I think they'll do more new stuff where it's like, hey, here's Flood and the 3D world style,
Yep.
you know, like different game mechanics to add to the game, you know.
I think, we'll probably get at least one bigger thing like that, and then more little things like how they did added checkpoints and like patches, those kinds of things. But as far as like one that'll feel like a DLC where it's a new game mode and maybe a couple other little things as well to go across the rest of the game. That's what I think. So, but yeah, I definitely think we're going to get some. And the Catcher 0818. 0818, I don't know, whatever. Seeing that Metal Wolf Chaos, a Japanese Xbox exclusive, got released here finally. What other games that were never released in North America would you like to see get a remaster released in North America?
Mother 3. Next question.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, to answer your question, I can't think of any off the top of my head. These are all very good questions. I apologize. I am just running a little bit out of time today. So moving along. Last but not least, from Discord, Lethal says, I don't know if it's ever been asked, but what are your thoughts on the idea of a live action Pokemon show rather than movies? Also, what would be the feasibility of it? Unfortunately, I think there's a really easy answer to this question. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think that the problem with that is a budget thing.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
like for them to do it well, it would probably cost too much money. And if they don't spend that much money, it won't be worth it. They could make it a Netflix thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And Netflix is like, they like dumping money in the stuff. So like,
right, exactly.
Somebody call Netflix.
I think, it would have to be like 10 episodes per season, a season every 2 years kind of a thing for them to be able to meet the production budget of the production quality of like Detective Pikachu and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And even then, like the big thing in the Pokemon show is you meet a new Pokemon every episode pretty much, you know, and Detective Pikachu got away with, or not got away with it, but like one of the things that helped was having 60 Pokemon that were really varied, but those were like the ones that they used throughout that movie. So they didn't have to like keep making new models. They just made the ones that they had and then animated them, you know, whatever. Obviously it's more complicated than that, but they didn't have to go back to the drawing board every single time. So again, a short, you know, a series like Netflix show, Stranger Things kind of a thing could probably make it work, but that wouldn't really feel much like Pokemon, possibly, unless
it could
be different.
I feel like the only way that they would do it is a way that would cost too much money, because Pokemon need to be all over the place, just like Detective Pikachu, where they're just literally all over the place.
Yeah. So it would be, it would be dope. I still, like I said another time, I remember, this was the same friend that lied about his uncle or cousin or whatever working at the Pokemon trading card company and could get me an Articuno card. Oh, no, it was a different friend. They both lied. This one was like, I saw a Caterpie in my backyard yesterday. Like, I think I might have seen a Weedle too. And I was like, there's like real Caterpies around. I was like dumb and 7, but you know, whatever. 17. I was 27.
It happened yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Still scarred by it.
Yeah. I just want to see a Caterpie in real life.
Caterpie is a dumb Pokemon. They'd be like,
Caterpie
I saw a Caterpie.
Easy one to lie about, though, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't be like, dude, I saw a Charizard. Because, like, if there was a Charizard, we would see evidence of that a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about it for this episode, though, of Directly to You. Some of these questions, if we didn't get to really answer them, but they were really good questions, maybe we'll just make videos about them sometime. But we appreciate all of your questions, and I'm sorry if we didn't get really in depth on all of them. But that said, thank you so much for your comments and your feedback and all that. We like talking to you and the community. And John Francis, we're just going to keep saying your name over and over and over again.
Yeah. You know what? This episode's dedicated to John Francis. We should do that. We should just like find one commenter, like even if it's like in videos and stuff, and being like, yo, like shout out to this dude. He's cool. Or a woman. She's cool too.
Yeah, dude is a non-gender biased term, sort of.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.